Welcome, one and all, to the adventure of a lifetime. Here we are in the VGC Battle Leagues, Season 7, the standard format. And what we have here is certainly not the most standard formats. But first of all, let me introduce my ravishingly beautiful co-host. Say hello, Mogo.
Hello, howdy.
So the two of us will be repeating my back in the BDSP, back in Season 5 analysis, where we look at the different draft philosophies of the team, of the teams, and we place them across an alignment chart, whether we think that they, as a draft analysis, whether they went for a wide range so that all of their Pokemon can conceivably come to a game, or whether we feel like they went more top heavy and then just picked up lower tier tech options to fill out the rest of their slots. And then alternative, on the other thing, we'll look at whether they are a team that favors immediate power and immediately breaking stuff, or whether it's more like a team which is going to favor trying to set up or trying to stall out the opposing offense and trying to position so that they can win in the long game. So just for a bit of context, this season is part of Season 2 of the Daddy Plan TM, and it is basically all of the Pokemon that were used in 2 or more games last season are banned. They're verboten, and that means that we have some really interesting options as far as tiers go. You've briefly browsed through a few teams without making anything specific. What do you think that the power level is looking like? How are you feeling about it?
The teams are all so interesting to me because I'm looking at the power level of most of them, and obviously compared to a Nat Dex or even a Galar Dex VGC draft, this is they seem underwhelming in terms of power, but I like the balances that I see on some of them. They're really interesting.
Yeah. You really had to make some interesting decisions as far as the give and take went, which I really enjoyed. So I did do this, and also for context, there were 2 sets of 16 drafting from discrete pools of Pokemon, and that means that we have first the Babby Conference, which we'll be looking at here, which started at the same time as Daddy, but I think it finished 2 or 3 days before. Just
wow,
gotta love it. And then we're not sure whether, depending on how we're going for time, we'll see whether we'll also be doing the Daddy Conference in this video or whether it'll be in a follow-up video. But obviously we'll be judging them on the same axis, and you guys will be able to see which of the 2 we're doing based on whether I titled this, Baby Conference or not. Yeah. So before we get onto our first team, are there any other comments that you would like to make?
No.
Okay.
Not on my end.
Okay. Yeah. So let's just briefly go over your VGC chops. So you did recently win in the World Pokemon Federation Drought Division.
Yeah. I just recently won. That, and other than that, I am chipless. So one could say I'm the GOAT.
Most people have 0 chips in VGC. So I think having won with pretty good competition is certainly not the worst thing to say. I don't think I've ever won a VGC league. I've been top 1 on season a couple different times, but I think I always tend to have pretty rough playoffs runs. I always drop out in semis.
Yeah, it's when things get really tough in some leagues. Some people definitely take their prep pretty moderately throughout the season, and then in playoffs just really start to put it to the grind.
I mean, look, I also just seem to find myself on the back ends of rough matchups or rematches that I barely won on season in semis.
Yeah.
That's I think just the way of the world, Yeah. So hopefully I'll be able to pull through, and I did do a draft breakdown. The links for that should be in the description. But we'll head into our first team.
Right before we start, can you pause the recording for 1 second? I need to run down.
Sorry. Yeah. All right, everyone. So that's our break concluded. We've got our first team here, which is Terminal, not Terminal, Terminal, of the Philadelphia Frillish. They had the first overall pick in the baby div, and what stands out to you about this team?
I mean, definitely 18-point Polytoad. Just like screams at me. Like that is expensive.
So Polito was originally 19 points, and then the other mons that were in 18 points got nerfed to 17, so they brought Polito down to 18. You said that you think that's expensive. It's like, I think that's cheap. I was one of the like 1 or 2 people who was voting to keep Polito at 19, even with all the other mons moved down. Because Polito's
Really?
quite good. It's strong. It's strong, and it's got really solid support, which is an absolute killer. So this team,
Yeah, I guess I also don't know the entire draft board, so I don't know it relative to other things. But I did see like a Glastrier there for like 16.
Yeah.
So I definitely I don't know, maybe
You don't
it's my
think Politoad's
mentality.
better than Glastrier?
No, I think it's not.
Dang. That's a very powerful endorsement of Glastrier. Or as
maybe.
was said around the its release, the Glastrier here, but
Yeah.
good. Spectrier and Glastrier here, but it was a very powerful combination. But no Spectrier here. So we have Politoad, Sneasel, one of the best Pokemons in the format. I was like I think I went round 1 in the other div. It's crazy that it made it back to the wheel for round 2, and then drafted that in a beat-up pair with Justified Virizion.
Yeah.
Pretty nuts.
No, it definitely seemed like a very solid pair, but I think the thing that's very interesting, especially about this, is that the second highest price mon on the team is 13. So this team is definitely not like, it's not top heavy whatsoever, but it feels like it could have been.
Well, I would say it's pretty top heavy. I mean, a lot of the mons above 10, and then like 2 big 9-pointers, and then everything else is like 3, 6, 2, 6.
That's fair. I definitely like see some things like Golurk, Dreadnought, Exploud definitely pulling their weight in terms of their point value. Definitely could have been higher in terms of their point value.
I question whether. Oh, I think Golurk for sure comes to mind there. I think Dreadnought. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Dreadnought. Boomburst hits your partner.
No.
That's why Exploud cheap.
Oh yeah. No, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
I also just think Dreadnought is definitely like, in terms of a Swift Swim mon, I think it is definitely not bad because it outspeeds a lot of the mons that would be getting weather boosting, being at 74 as opposed to 70.
Yeah, well, 70
so it definitely
has
has
tops,
that
right?
over them.
Because Kendra's legal in this format at 85.
Gotcha. Okay, so not all of them then.
No, well, certainly not this team's own Barrascuda.
Well, yeah, that's also true, but that I didn't note that because the Barrascuda was on this team.
Yeah, I think that it's a bit weird having 2 physical rain abusers.
Yeah, I can agree with
Hurricaneer
that.
is Butterfree.
Yeah.
Butterfree's good. It's one of very few redirectors, and it's pretty solid as a redirector.
Yeah.
So I think this team's pretty solid. The like redirection. So the thing I was trying to comment on is like they had like the beat up core, and then they followed it up with a good trick room redirection core, which I think is really solid. Like later on, you don't have as much like a coherent philosophy. Like, we're weak to electric types. Let's grab 2 ground types. We probably want Swift Swims. Let's grab 2 Swift Swimmers. Lunatar and Exploud are fighting next to each other. I think Lunatar is pretty cheap at 2. But they also already have a rock type, and like.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I don't think I've ever seen a rain team this like neutral to water type moves.
I see you did not watch the drought PRs because this is that team did not have a grass type.
This is true. I do remember that now that I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, this is another team which is super weak to water. Yeah, rain teams being weak to water is always funny, and I think often it becomes because of Barrascuda, paired with like in the other league it was Seismitoad as their other Swift Swimmer, and it's another thing of Barrascuda who's frail, and then a secondary Swift Swimmer who's neutral to water, but this one at least has them the Virizion to pack it up. Still not great. Politoad boosting the power of water into itself is not great. I'm interested to see whether the double ground thing works out, because that water weakness is pretty awkward, and a lot of... It's not unheard of for Pokemon with electric type moves to have like a Raikou with Scald. Raikou's one of the best mons legal in this format, and this team doesn't love matching up into it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like it's not going to be perfect, but I don't think it's impossible because definitely both of those
Yeah.
grounds are not going to be coming to most matches. Both of those grounds plus Lunatone probably won't be coming to most matches. So it's not like they're bringing all of their water weaknesses together. Like
Mm.
they'll have them like spread out, and I think Rock is going to be more
Oh,
of
I
like
was mostly
when
concerned
they
about
feel they
them.
randomly need Intimidate.
I was mostly concerned about them both being because of their electric matchup.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think the Virizion does a pretty good job at holding up against those, though. To be fair,
Yeah, I
with
guess
that
my
really
brain
good
is.
special defense
Yeah,
stat.
I'm mostly just warped around Raikau, which has the
Yeah.
psychic and the water coverage, which is annoying for this team to deal with. But like, not every
Oh,
electric
for
type's
sure.
Raikau. It is one of the best mods of the format for a reason. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
the other concern about this team that I had is that like I think yeah, it's got like Lunatone and Virizion as dual screen setters, and I don't know if that's like Politoed is a mod that really thrives under dual screens because it's got really solid natural bulk, and like I mean, historically we've even seen like Rest Politoed put in appearances in like at regionals, and I think even at internets once.
Yep.
So like I don't know. I feel like this team could have done maybe with a little bit more damage disruption. Like Sneasel and Krokorok both having Snarl is nice, but having like a stronger Snarl, having mons that didn't necessarily have other moves that they wanted to be clicking. Also, this team doesn't really have an EVL user despite having both Krokorok and Sneasel because they are both relatively
Yeah.
frail and
Yeah.
they're just kind of weak to all the stuff that Krokorok is weak to.
This is true.
This team has one fairy
Um.
resist,
Yeah, the
zero
one
dragon
fairy
resist.
resist is definitely a bit of an issue.
Hmm.
And I think that in terms of like the overall like. I think it'll depend on how Terminal wants to play with this
Yeah.
team. I think that it has the potential to sort of act as more of like a traditional like offensive rain team with like a defensive slash TR like side mode.
Yeah.
I don't think it necessarily has to play for like the Polytoad long games.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it
It's
still
just
could
lacking
on the
that
occasional
facet,
week
right?
with Screen Berisian.
Yeah. I feel like this team has a lot of tools that don't necessarily have the support, which kind of limits it to being that more tempo sort of team, despite having a few mons that do thrive in those longer games. Which,
Yeah, I think that's fair.
um, this isn't like necessarily critical as much as it's really coming to a thought process. So I think this is a relatively top-heavy team, and I think it's more focused towards tempo. I think you can see on my screen how you're feeling about where I'm putting the
Yeah,
Philadelphia
see,
approaches.
when I was thinking about it, I wasn't thinking about it as top heavy, in terms of points. Like I was thinking about it closer to like the middle of things.
Mm.
But
I think
definitely
that
like
most
I
of the
think I
team's going to
agree
be
with it being
like
pretty
less top heavy
tempo-y.
than this.
Got you. Okay.
It is 95 points, right? So if we think about, uh, does this team? So we look at Politoed and Virizion together is almost a third of their entire points. In the top four, I think that's so that's well over half their points just in the top four. That's pretty top heavy. It's just that you're required to get 11 mons, and the mons in 1 are often a lot worse than the mons in 2. So a lot of people get
Yeah,
2 and
fair.
3 pointers. I think if your first 4 picks are more than half your points, I probably want to put you on the top heavy side of the spectrum.
I feel like that's going to be the case for most of the teams, though, is it not?
It's definitely not. I think there's like a
Okay.
team that didn't have, there are a couple teams that don't have mons that are even like 13 or 14 points. Like they mostly only have mons that are like 12 and
Got
below.
you.
So those
All right,
are
fair
teams
enough
that are
then.
like strong into the white. But like this team isn't the most top heavy, but it is, I think, pretty top heavy.
Yeah, and we can definitely move things around if we feel different later.
Yeah, of course. So on then to the second team, which is this, the Skyloft Gale Wings, and
And the
Bullhorn.
aforementioned Class Trio team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are obviously 2 teams that might have picked up Clash Trio between the 2 drafts, so we can never know which. But yeah,
True.
this is a like full-on. I want to get speed control, and I want to do well with it. I remember I was talking to Aubrey during like the drafting, and I wasn't confident he was going to get all of the mons that he did get, and he wound up getting most of the mons. I thought he was going to get sniped a good bit more. This team is pretty strong. He did like just make transactions This was a Wigglytuff and a Duskull, and I think it was probably a good decision to drop Duskull.
I wouldn't have been mad at a Duskull. Like, it's probably not necessary on this team based on the fact that he has 3 Trick Room setters already, but I think Duskull is pretty solid for being normally around the 1 point
I just don't love this team's Dark matchup.
This is also true. Yeah, this
like,
well, at the same time, this team does have Scrafty.
Yeah, but Scrafty's only in 1 slot.
This is true.
And then their other Dark Resist was Wigglytuff, which is, you know, it's something. But I don't know if you want
And now it's a Jigglypuff.
Yeah. It's a Jigglypuff, which is a significant improvement. Broken Mon. Jigglypuff is bulkier than Wigglytuff.
This is true, and it has Friend Guard.
It does. I honestly forgot about that. Wow, that was actually a significant improvement, considering that Mon's 2 points.
Yeah, no, it actually is.
Jigglypuff went in the other day as well.
Yeah.
During the draft.
No, I think that makes sense. When you have to draft 11 Mons.
Upper end of this team.
Fair.
So Clastria, really strong. Scrafty, really strong. Nihilego, that's quite a solid fast option that also has like the Trick Room fake out sort of option. Not in the sense that this team has fake out, but obviously it does with Scrafty. But like Braviary, really like immediately. This team has a lot of tempo. But then like Scrafty can play towards the long game, but Clastria has a lot of tempo, Nihilego has a lot of tempo, Braviary has a lot of tempo. Starmie is a bit weird. It's a bit of both.
I had never seen Starmie in VGC before, and I'm very, very interested to see how it does, because I personally love Starmie. I think it's really, really good.
It's cool. I think the main issue I have with Starmie in VGC specifically comes out with the fact that Analytic only works if you're a 4th Pokemon to move in a turn, instead of just working based on your opponent, which really just means it's a lot less consistent than it is in singles.
That definitely is it is definitely a factor.
For sure. It also is only 100s attack, which has its own things. But yeah, Turtonator is really good. It's got like a solid defensive thing. Ultimately, this team wound up being kind of weak to the fire weaknesses with like Ground on Rock, which makes me kind of wish I was in this dude. But you know, Turtonator is really solid. It both its like defensive iron defense body press sets and like its more full hyper offense shell smashy sort of sets are really great in the long game, and it was also strong enough that it can put out a lot of damage input for an early game as well. It's a really balanced one. Eggy's funny. I don't think this team... Actually, I'm not sure what mons on this team have access to Sunny Day, so I'm going to cheat and check. So none of the fast
It's
mons...
definitely quite a few.
No, it's just the slow mons. So we're looking at it. We see Turtonator, Scrafty, Eggy itself, Jigglypuff, and Braviary. So like I think like if Bolton got Sunny Day, having Bolton out and then Sunny Daying for Eggy, I think makes that maybe more of an option. But this way, Eggy can only really do it itself, so it's probably more just confined to Trick Room or to a long game sort of play. I think Bolton's funny. Competitive is good when you have a few mons that don't love Intimidate.
I think Bolton is really good, especially because he also has the Defiant on Braviary, and I guess competitive on Jigglypuff, but like...
yes. I think that was probably more of a thought process with the Wigglytuff than with the Jigglypuff, you know?
That definitely would make sense. I think Bolton is pretty solid.
Obviously, Toxapex
it's normally...
is a nature mon.
Yeah,
Bolton, I don't know. It's got Nuzzle, which is really good.
Bolton has some support pieces. Like it has some speed control options. In Scary Face.
It's got Scary Face. Okay, it's got Snarl. It's a really good Snarl mode.
Yeah, and it has Snarl. Yeah, it definitely has its like decent support options. In terms of being able to paralyze and slow things down. So it being at that speed tier, especially for this team, is helpful.
Yeah, it was only 6 points. That's really solid.
Yeah, because it would definitely mean that he's able to run like more of a speedy Glastrier in cases, as opposed to just running a strictly slow one.
This is kind of like this team is just kind of like going down the line in terms of points.
Yeah, it's very methodical until you get to the Jigglypuff.
So that was originally Wigglytuff and then a 2-pointer.
So it did still follow.
It went to go straight down.
It's funny
because like when we eventually get to Minecraft, it's nothing like that. I think this team's quite good. Like in terms of,
I think this team is very solid. Yeah, I would agree. Really I would tend to think it plays significantly more on the tempo side than on the long game side of things.
It's got Clastria, who's great in the long game. It's got Scrafty, who's mostly there for the long game. Starmie, I would at least guess is a long game. Then Terminator and Eggy can long game. Nihiligo can long game, especially like a sub variant. But obviously the Meteor Beam is the most immediately threatening set. I don't know. I definitely think this team can do a lot of both, though I do think it's a bit biased towards tempo. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm too stupid. I can't tell which one's their logo.
It's is it not the one of the Pokeball with the Talonflame wings?
Sorry, I was looking for words or like a Talonflame. So yeah, I think this team is relatively top heavy, and I do think it plays a bit more towards tempo. I think it's less top heavy than the last team was.
You think it's less because it has a 16, a 15, and a 14 as opposed to the 18, 13, 12 on the other. So I guess maybe depending on like your idea.
If you look at these top four, they're technically more expensive, but
this is true.
But like if you look at these as the top four, including Barraskewda, then it's more expensive.
Yeah.
It turns out
it's definitely top heavy looking at the team though. I will agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's a bit top heavy, but like, I don't know. I think Whiscash is pretty good for 2. I think Bolton is crazy good for 2.
Oh, absolutely. I think that for the points he was able to get everything else, I think they're definitely solid picks.
I also feel like I'm not sure if you have to respect Toxapex or not, mostly because Toxapex's defensive matchup isn't actually that great here. Just because...
Yeah, I don't think the Toxapex is really a mon that will probably see usage.
Like, generally the thought process
very interested to see if it does.
Yeah, is that, like, you can bring it to team preview and it will intimidate your opponent, but I'm just not sure it does that here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, mostly just because it's got that overlapping ground weakness. They have a lot of checks to electric weakness, but it's still, like, a key weakness of 2 of their strongest mons.
Yeah, exactly. And their resists are in the lower
Psychic is also
tiers.
a bit like... People are probably going to run something for Nihiligo that is most likely going to be biased towards being Psychic or Ground, because the other options of Steel and Water, they have better matchups into, which means that Toxapex is probably going to get pressured just by people running moves for other mons that they already feel have to respect. You don't have to respect Toxapex, because in respecting the rest of their team, Toxapex is already covered.
You naturally get Pex, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, beyond that, I think the team's funny. The team's strong.
Yeah.
I don't know if Whiscash is like good or not, but I believe in it. Like,
yeah, I think Whiscash will probably have like 1 or 2 matchups where it can like Dragon Dance and get something, but I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be like.
It's immune to Intimidate.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really think about because I've never looked at it this gen, but you know, it's funny. I just don't know if I like it as one of like your 2 rock resists. Is mostly my concern, I suppose.
Yeah, this is fair because it's not the most good in terms of its bulk.
This team's heavily biased towards like a slower speed end without really being like a dedicated Trick Roomy team because it's got a fast speed end, but then it just really doesn't have much in the middle. Because like Scrafty you don't really want to run speed on, and Braviary you often want to run speed on. So
yeah,
like,
it skips from 103 down to 60.
Is everything just slow?
Exactly.
Or are we running fast Executor? Yeah. Which you can, but you don't want to enjoy feeling pressured to. I guess that was my thoughts. I think I'm probably going to lean this more towards tempo with that in mind.
Yeah, I think definitely, I think, in my opinion, this is, pretty strongly towards tempo, for the most part.
I guess I just think of Trick Room as lower tempo than Rain, because you have to spend a turn setting it up, so you're often going to want to commit something to it. But it is true that it's very much, I have a couple turns to win in, and then after that, I'm more at your mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, on to the next team, we have Sova. Sorry, I had a stroke. We have Sora and the Dover Delmice. I combined the team name and the player name in my brain because my brain don't working good. Yeah, so this team, it's got Pokemon on it.
It does indeed. It has 2 flying types, right near the top. It looks like my team. Yeah, it sort of does.
It shares 2 Pokemon with my team, but it seems like my team.
Yeah. Immediately noticing that Lycanroc Dusk seems cheap at 8 points. I think that thing is pretty solid.
I took it round 2. I don't know why I lost it to round 5 here.
I think that it's pretty solid just in terms of its rock output.
This team seems probably pretty top heavy. Yeah. I think rock types are good in this format. I don't know if you noticed from the last two teams, which I think were both weak to. No, this
Yeah,
one
that
wasn't
was
weak to rock,
definitely
that's right.
that
Bullhogs
was
were pretty
definitely
good.
part of my thought process.
I like Rocks. Rocks is also really good into this team.
Yeah,
I don't know if
this is a
Poliwrath
true
and
statement.
Registeel are like the most consistent checks to it. I also think this team seems kind of weak to Darkest Lariat because often you're going to be wanting to like Iron Defense up.
Yeah, if you want to Iron Defense body press with Registeel, or if you want Registeel to just be more of, like Registeel, I feel like
Yeah.
is very interesting in VGC because it has a lot more opportunities for random setup sets, like an autotomized Meteor
So
Beam set or like a Charge
wait, it
Beam
gets
set.
Meteor
Like it
Beam?
can do that. Yeah, it does.
I genuinely I
Like
did not know that.
like it can do offensive sets. I
Doesn't it
think
have like
actually
50s
really
attack?
well.
What's 75?
VGC.
That's
No,
right.
it's 75.
I was
75
thinking that it
above,
has
yeah.
much higher like stats than the other one.
Yeah, it actually has like it has very okay attacking stats, and it can do either.
Very okay.
So
That's one way to put it. Obviously, without Max, it's less good, but still really intimidating. I think.
for sure.
But this
I
team
think
has
the
one electric
thing is,
resist,
like,
and it's Eldegoss.
Yeah, I think outside of Max, it definitely plays a very different role than in Max. Like in Max, it definitely plays a lot more towards maxing and outliving things.
Yeah.
But I think in No Max, it has much more potential to sort of play towards those like offensive sets that I mentioned.
For sure, for sure. I mean, I can't imagine seeing a Max Meteor Beam Registeel. I can't believe it gets Meteor Beam.
Yeah, right.
There was like some mon recently I was looking at. I'm like, why don't you get Meteor Beam?
Yeah, the dispersal of Meteor Beam definitely seemed a bit random at some points.
Yeah, I think it was like a Pokemon that was like actually just a Meteor as well. Obviously, Meteor doesn't get it 'cause it's not in the gen.
Yeah.
So that means it's probably Clefable I was thinking of, because Clefable is a Meteor.
Yeah, this is true. However,
It does not
it does
get
get
Meteor
Meteor Beam. It in fact does.
It does?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. It must. It's like I think Rachi does too, right? I don't know what I'm talking about.
I believe Jirachi does. Yeah, Jirachi does. Yeah, so I don't know.
Alright.
I don't know which you were thinking of. Maybe it was Deoxys you were thinking of.
Oh no, it was Tyranitar.
Oh,
Yeah, I think T-Touch.
oh, that actually surprises me.
Deoxys also isn't in the gen. In terms of fully
yeah,
evolved
yeah.
rock types that don't get Meteor Beam, the list is that are in the gen. It's Tyranitar and Terrakion.
See,
Obviously, it's Tyranitar, the only mod I
makes
built
sense.
with.
Yeah, yeah, that's surprising on T-Tar. But
You don't think Tyrax
aside
is
from the
shooting
point,
star?
he is not.
Ugh.
He is a. I mean, he is literally a goat on the ground. That is his thing.
A Goatee.
But I think this team is really, really cool. I think that definitely having the two flying types toward the
Oh,
start.
sorry. I meant to say the other one that doesn't get it is also Duskrok. Duskrok doesn't get Meteor Beam.
Oh yeah.
That's the real reason they got Registeel. They wanted to make sure they had a Meteor Beamist. No, I think
True.
this team, it's got a lot of really good immediate breakers in terms of like the mid-tier picks, but then its top-tier picks, and then its bottom-tier picks are both all super long game focused, I think.
Yeah. I think it's definitely I think that makes sense. I think actually, in terms of that, like I see Uxie as very like long game, and like Registeel can be long game. It sort of depends on how it's going to be used on this team.
I think even if
but
you
I think
autotomize Meteor Beaming with Registeel, it's probably still long game.
that's fair. It's not immediate short game.
It's committing 2 turns to set up.
But like the things like Thundurus, Articuno, Crawdon, Lycanroc, like Poliwrath, Rapidash, Buffalon all play pretty offensive.
I think both Thundurus in a non-max meta and Articuno Galar are both pretty long game. Also,
Maybe.
wow, this team really does not want to like deal with Intimidate at all. It's like
Yeah,
the
it
first
just
three
the
Pokemon.
first three immediately.
They knew what they were
And
going
Hyper
for next.
Cutter, I guess, if you wanted to run that on Crawdon.
That's true, but I think the idea is that they can free up the Hyper Cutter, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh, Cotton Down is a funny thing. No, I think so. Like if I look at this team, I think Thundurus wants to play a long game. Registeel wants to play a long game. In non-max, both Thundurus and Galactuno I think are mostly more long game. Maybe you could say Galactuno is more mid-range, but it's certainly not likely to get Oko's turn 1, turn 2 in a non-max format. Then Flareon is a bit weird, but I think in terms of when you're getting Flareon to work, it's more often going to be in those support role. So that might be more a short game, or it might be a more long game. I think probably you're going to be looking at more of a long game, using it as like a wisp option. Uxi's basically fully committing to a long game because this team's Trick Room components are not that slow, even if they are pretty strong.
Yeah, definitely the Trick Room is going to be in niche uses on this team.
And then Poliwrath has 95 attack, so unless it's belly drumming, I don't think it's really playing a long game. A tempo game. And then Eldegoss, it's not super good. I don't. Do you reckon Rapidash or something has, like, besides Eldegoss, has something to set on? I guess Eldegoss is technically faster than Buffalon, but something to set Buffalon up? Because I'm not seeing, like, an obvious, like, pedal dancer sort of one.
Oh, you mean in terms of setting up the Sap Sipper?
Yeah.
It has, yeah, I don't know exactly, like, in terms of spread moves, what it would be able to do. I know it like, obviously has plenty of grass type moves.
Yeah, but like none of the Eldegoss ones seem like they would, right?
Yeah, no, there's not like a ton unless you wanted to do like grass knot on Thunderous or something, but
yeah, or Energy Ball Uxie, but
or Energy Ball and Uxie,
like a spread move.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't think this team has that. I also don't think that's like the biggest issue.
Oh no, I was just interested about the
like something to note.
When you look at Buffalon, you're like, okay, why is there a Buffalon on this dude? Is it just because they wanted a ghost check? Because I can understand that being the case, because their other ghost resist is Crawdon. It's just that I don't know, what's Buffalon's defensive stats like? 95, 95, okay, I can respect the Buffalon.
It's decently bulky. And Buffalon, especially with like Reckless, has the potential to make like those double edges just do a ton of damage.
Or with the Sap Sipper boost.
True.
I don't know how double edge is helping their matchup into opposing ghosts, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Buffalon definitely has like other things that it can do, so I don't think that like that's necessarily the like a sword in the stone.
Yeah. No, the sword in the stone, hey. No, I mean, I think Buffalon's mostly just here because it is a bulky normal type.
Yeah.
Not because they're thinking of like any specific synergy with it, but just because that team is otherwise pretty ghost weak and still fairly ghost weak as it stands.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I do love seeing the funny Buffalon thing when you can, you know. I think Eldegoss is very funny speed control here, which I do like, because obviously this team is really good priority with Crawdon, Lycanroc Dusk, and then support-wise with Thunderous. So yeah, I like that. Oh, also, Clear Body Registeel. They have synergies across the board. Sadly, Cotton Down doesn't trigger competitive or defiant on your own team.
Yep, because it's only from opponent.
I don't know if it's affected by like any of Buffalon's moves. Like Sap Sipper or Soundproof. I honestly would not be surprised if it was affected by Sap Sipper, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't, you know? Okay, so Dover Delmise, I think, is probably... Like, I'm not going to have to look for something that's like, a Pokeball with wings, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, I think this
it is the one that says Dover Delmise on it.
Because, like, the lower tier picks are mostly just checking slots rather than forming key parts of the team's
trying to get roles, trying to make sure that it fills for plenty of different things. I definitely think this is a team where, like, you could see the first 4 coming to most games.
Yeah, first 5 maybe, to some extent. Certainly I would expect the first 3.
5. Or, like, swapping out Thunderous Articuno if you don't want to Rock Slide weeks immediately, etc.
It certainly seems like a team which is trying to play into the strong points of its higher things rather than just having a bunch of options. So I would say this team's pretty top-heavy. I'd also say this team's pretty long game. Maybe not quite.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Long game.
I think about that placement makes sense.
And now we go to the person who is, I'm sure, going to give both of us a terrible season in DovPF, but luckily for me, he's not before playoffs in VBL. We have Sly and the Seattle Swallows. Latias round 1, I respect it. Mammoth
Yeah, this team to me immediately just screams kill. Like the first 3 Mons I can see definitely on this team as just like coming to every match and each getting like 1 to 2 kills. Like no problem.
So I'm looking at this. I'm seeing Prankster Tailwind, Life
Yep.
Orb Sheer Force Mawile,
Yep.
like a Mold Breaker Sork or Inner Focus Sork. The option of like a Shell Smasher Omastar there. Specs Circuitry, maybe. I mean, we saw that team, like just the last team, has one electric resist.
Yeah,
You put
and even
Mamoswine
then,
in
it still has
Circuitry.
the Energy Ball and Dazzling Gleam to be
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
hit things.
Like it's absurdly strong. Mamoswine is absurdly strong, and then Latias is, I'd say, more of a long gamey sort of Pokemon. But honestly, you slap a Soldier on it, you click Draco, you're gonna do some damage.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like Latias is not the most immediately threatening Pokemon when it's just like out on the field, but
Yeah.
it definitely has the option to just be very
And you know
threatening.
what makes it very immediately threatening? Prankster Fake Tier support.
Also true. It does have the Prankster and Purloin, which I think Purloin definitely at 8 may
Oh, that's
seem
really
like
solid.
expensive, but it's
Oh, it's like,
very worth it.
honestly, I was like, 8, that's pretty good for Purloin. Fungus is probably one of the best redirection options that was legal, considering the only follow meist is Togepi.
Yeah,
I'd say
Fungus
it's
is
probably about as good as Togepi.
definitely solid.
On top of like having all of this immediate offense, but you're also pressuring your opponent to consider more of like the mid range sort of thing, where the Fungus is here, it rage powders, and you didn't have your safety goggles on, and you're using a grass type, so it doesn't hit Latias super well. Maybe it clicks Pollen Puff, or like something, and then you proc a weakness policy on the Latias. You don't necessarily love seeing that, because it like Calm Minds up first. So there's definitely, I think, a lot of threats to this one. I just don't. And then the last two Pokemon that, like, we also want a Trick Room Core. This team is so strong. It is pretty
Yeah.
water Ice Beam weak.
Yeah, this is true. It's not like amazing into fighting types either. But I think definitely having Fungus sort of helps with that in terms of being
I
able to
would
redirect
say-
those fighting type moves.
Yeah, I'd say this team's pretty alright into fighting types, because Talonflame has the Gale Wings flying type move. Latias itself is a
Yep.
pretty good matchup into it. Mawile hits them super hard, and Intimidate is annoying for them. Obviously, Fungus has its own disruption, plus Sork has Sturdy, which is really nice. And is honestly, like, Sork is probably one of the fighting types I'd be most scared of with this team, of the options that were legal, and you've taken it off the board yourself. That said, the jump between Latias and Sork is certainly a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, this team has like got a lot of like mons that can function in Trick Room, but also I think they're more just meant there as like anti-Trick Room, which is definitely a solid strategy.
Yeah, I
it's
think
really-
the anti-trick room is pretty relevant here, especially with how we've seen so many of
Yeah.
the teams already, each having like definitely a trick room mode.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing to note here is their only fake out being on Purloin. That sort
Yeah.
of does take a little bit away from the tempo of the team.
Yes and no.
Because
Yes and
definitely,
no. It definitely, I think-
having a more offensive fake out could help you sort of keep up pressure as you go. Meanwhile, Purloin might not be coming immediately to every game.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's necessarily a detriment. I think only having one fake out on Purloin is not bad.
I don't have fake
but
out
I
on my
think
team because there are very few good fake out options. Most of them aren't
Yeah,
legal.
fair.
I think it was, I think it was probably not the most the optimal decision, but I certainly think Purloin's a pretty good fake out. It's still relatively fast at 70, 66 apparently, and that's really all you need. You just need to be faster
Yeah.
than the opposing one. No, I think Purloin's honestly quite good. It's quite good. I've even seen the cheeky unburden Purloin pop off
Oh, really?
against me.
Interesting.
It reminded me that that Snowball and Absorb Bulb are items.
Yeah.
Truly, some of the greatest things. But yeah, so I don't say. I think this team is certainly one of. I think it's the most top-heavy team we've looked at so far, right?
It's definitely the most that like I see those first four as pretty much never taking an off week.
Honestly, I think you can even put Mawile on that list, almost.
I don't think the Mawile is immediately on that list.
Just how many of the teams are going to be super weak to player off, and how many of the times are you going to appreciate that Intimidate support if they're not just weak to player off? I don't know. I think that a lot of this thing. Also, Mawile is their only Dragon Resist, which is
Yeah, this is true, but there's not a lot of dragons going around in this
specifically there's
format
Naganadel,
from what we've seen
which
so
is
far.
I think one of the strongest ones.
Yeah, definitely like Naganadel, Latias.
Have we not seen a dragon so far?
We have not aside from Latias, but there's Naganadel, um, like Duraludon.
Yeah, Duraludon.
Uh,
No, the
I'm trying to
Fungus
think of,
counterplay. It doesn't even need goggles.
no.
Not the stalwart. How could they do this to me? I mean, yeah, okay, you're right. I honestly hadn't realized we hadn't seen a dragon on any of the other teams yet.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely not like
that seems
not
pretty
the
solid.
most relevant, I guess.
I'd say, yeah, this team is, I think,
I
about
think
Swiss
this
tempo,
team
and it's really
plays-
top heavy.
I think this team plays extremely tempo to me.
Just
Um,
extremely tempo. I think this team.
Like
Yeah.
this team is
Yeah.
above terminal.
Yeah.
100% in my
It's
mind.
like, no, you're right, you're right. I just keep looking at the Latias and I'm like, this isn't a tempo mon. And then I look at the rest of the team and I'm like, yeah, but maybe
Yeah.
it feels pressured to be.
That's the thing, because I think that definitely on a team like this, Latias doesn't really have it doesn't have the ability to just sort of be lackadaisical and just play
hand bonds.
long game. They do have 4 helping hand mons, which
That's
is
so
unheard of in
cool.
Galar decks.
That's so cool. I didn't expect Sork or Lunatone and Solrock to have helping hand. I was just wondering, it's like, oh, it's Latios or Morwhile? You know, because I used Latios Morwhile in the BDSP draft of this, and
Yeah.
I think I used helping hand on both of them. But this team has even more. Like, I had Rotom, and yeah, that's cool. But Solrock is basically
This
Rotom.
team definitely has a lot in terms of what? Hold on.
Solrock's a really budget Rotom. It's your Levitate Mon, and it resists flying, which is the main reason I pick up a Rotom.
Oh, that's what you meant. Okay. I was like, that definitely needed a little more clarification.
I mean, I don't really know what else I would think. Like, if I haven't seen a Mon before, I just think of, okay, have I ever been like, wow, I'm really weak to insert type. I want this, and they're like, you know what, Solrock, that checks the Gliscor combination, you know.
Budget X.
Really budget Rotom. When Rotom
Yeah.
is too budget to be budget Rotom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Seattle Swellers. I don't think this team is likely going to. This team is either going to feel really pressured to bring Solrock, or it's not even going to come to mind, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be like the most immediately necessary thing.
I
all
love
the
Purloin
time.
on this team so much.
Yeah, I think Purloin's gonna do a lot. Purloin next to like a Latias and the Xurkitree will just be kind of nuking. So.
I honestly think that you probably see Morwhile about as much as you'll see Talonflame with this team.
Really? See, I think
Mostly
of this.
just I don't think it needs weird tailwind.
I see this team, and I just think that I would almost always be leading one of Talonflame and one of the first 3.
Okay.
Just like that's more my playstyle. I love like Prankster Tailwind on teams.
I mean, my first VGC season at SBS, I had Talonflame.
Yeah.
I think I might have drafted it in both of my like first 2 draft seasons, and I used it a decent
really?
bit. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
No, I think Talonflame's incredible.
I think Talonflame's super inconsistent, but it's got a really
that's
big
fair.
high roll. I don't like it a whole lot, but it's pretty good. Look, it's better than the baby ones because you don't have to worry about Galings as much. With the baby ones, you have to worry about if your opponent is gonna like E-speed you and then outspeed you with their subsequent mod and kill you. But that double up is never gonna happen with Talonflame because it's 126 base speed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So BB Raf's team.
Yeah, on to BB Rafts. The first 3 I love right off the bat. Zapdos,
No.
Crocodile, Como.
No, but don't go to the dark side. No.
No, I think that's
You were
so
supposed to
good right
destroy
off
the
it.
crocodile, not join them.
Nah, Crocodile is definitely something that I personally do not find a lot of success with, but I think it's very good. And I think Crocodile, Zapdos, Como just sort of, they suit each other very naturally.
I had a season
The
where I
only
dropped a
obvious
Crook.
thing being the ice weakness between the
brought
3
a
of
lot.
them.
I still hated it.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
I don't respect Crook. I think Zapdos is great. Como is great.
I'm also noting the 16-point Araquanid taken, like, round 10. Or round, like,
can I hate
whatever
this?
that is, 8.
I hate this team because how did they get round 9 Aggron? Aggron went round 5 in my div. I took it, but like a bunch of people told me they were going to take it, so I took it round 5.
Really, I would not look at Aggron and immediately think that is something I need.
There's like no steals in the format, and it's really strong. Rock types are good, and it's like 4 points. I think it was underpriced for what it is. I think Zapdos was really good. I think Crook is funny. Mogo's good. Mime's good. Tentacruel, I don't know. Tentacruel's like a mon that always seems to be like, well, this is the interesting tech option, specifically in like a max league where you want to like bulldoze weakness policy it or something. Otherwise, I just don't. It's just not strong. I think that's the main issue I have with it. It's fast, and it's got good spread, but it has 80 special attack and 70 attack. Like, and I don't think it has poison jab. So I think if your sword's down, so you just run liquidation. I'm just not sure what it does. Exo is really good.
Sure
Togepi
does.
is normal type. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Togepi's half normal type, right?
No, it's just fairy.
Am I just like?
It's not like Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff. Okay. It didn't get the same treatment.
Oh look, I always thought it was normal type, but I. No, do you know why? Yeah, I know why I thought it was normal type. Because it was normal type.
It was prior to being fairy,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I choose to blame that. Yeah, Sharaquanid is at 16 points. I don't know why it was at 16, but I'm hoping that we see BB Raph do well with it. Obviously, BB Raph is broken.
Yeah, it's expensive, but I think the thing with this is like also just water type moves are gonna be pretty decent into a lot of the teams that we've seen.
We looked at that rain team, right?
And Araquanid just gets to spam. I think.
Look, if we look
given
at
the
this
right
last
support.
3, by which I mean last 4, but not Grovile, they are so strong in terms of being able to like these mons
doing
match
random
fish
bits of
incredibly
damage.
Efficiently.
Yeah. For sure.
Like they hit their type, and they hit their type obscenely hard. And honestly, I think this team does appreciate Aggron as a rock resist, and it does appreciate Araquanid as a wide guardist.
Yeah.
Also a flying
I think
resist.
wide guard will definitely be nice.
Like this team's looking at like the Thunderous Articuno Galad team, and I'm being like, wow, I'm really glad I have an Aggron, you know.
I don't know if it is because like it still has Zapdos. Like, it's not like it's like super threat.
Thunderous is neutral
like,
to electric.
Yeah.
The good one isn't legal because it's good.
I'm aware. Wait, did you just consider Thunderous T better than Thunderous I?
Significantly. In a non-max format, in both doubles and singles, Thunderous T is broken. Thunderous I is not good.
That's crazy.
I say this as someone who has just drafted Thunderous I. It turns out the difference between, like, okay, so let's go back to, no, it was Sora's team. Turns out the difference between 125 and 115 versus 145 and 105. I'm going to pick the 145 and the 105 over 125 and 115. Also, being immune to electric is really good.
I agree with that.
Look, I won a league, a singles league, with Thunderous Therian, Landorus Therian, and Tornadus Therian. I think I've never won a league with Lando Eye, Torn Eye, and Thunderous Eye. That speaks for itself.
Definitely a bit of a genie, Andy.
Yeah, so this team is super top heavy as well.
Yeah, this team especially, like Zapdos, Crocoma, Araquanid. Like, I don't necessarily see.
I don't even think Araquanid's coming every game. I think the top 3 are coming every game.
I was gonna say I don't know if Araquanid will come every game. That's definitely why I think that's 16 for it's a little bit high. But I think
that one's broken.
I think it has good potential. I mean, Darumaka at most is gonna do damage and die. That's what it does.
Yeah, but who cares?
It's not gonna. It's probably not gonna
trade
get
1 point
kills.
for often more than like half of the 2 or 3 pointers are gonna trade for. Was more my thought process there. Because 50 base speed, that's fast. It's fast, right? It's
yeah,
okay
very.
Focus, which is nice. Both of its abilities
Yeah,
increase
true.
its attack stat functionally.
This is true.
I don't remember what.
In the face of
it's
Intimidators,
Luxray.
that is.
Liberty build Luxray. It's very
I think
team. Is this team playing towards tempo? I'd say it's playing towards tempo.
I don't think this is the most top-heavy team that we've seen.
Okay.
I think it's definitely top-heavy. That's fair.
I didn't realize this wasn't a PNG when I started grabbing it, by the way. I didn't make this tier list thing, so it's not my fault.
Oh, got you.
I stole it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have been on the same tier list instead of being in 2 separate ones.
I think that's a fair spot to put it.
Okay.
I think definitely more towards like
am I
the middle of the
against
road.
I mean, it doesn't really have that much of a... Okay, so Zapdos can long game pretty well. Komodo has variants that can long game. Mime doesn't get recovery, right? I don't know what it does, besides being strong.
No, it doesn't. It's like, it's got freeze dry, screen cleaner, it can set up screens, it can
set up screens and then remove them.
It can rapid spin nasty plot if needed.
It can rapid spin nasty plot. Does it need the rapid spin? It's already 100 speed.
It depends on what else is there, I guess.
I like the Excalibur on this team a lot.
Yeah, Excalibur is very interesting. I think definitely a thing this team is going to have issue with is ice types. They're just kind of going to do damage, and it doesn't have a ton to kill them aside from like Como, Aggron, and I guess Darumaka if you count Darumaka. Well, in terms of just being able to flat out kill them.
No, I mean, Araquanid is functionally super effective with its moves because of Water Bubble.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Yeah, I think it's it's something. This team is interesting. I don't know if Grovile's ever going to come, but I hope it does something if it does.
Yeah, I think that it probably wouldn't end up coming.
It's got 85
for the most part.
You can probably chuck Leaf Storm on it, you know?
Yeah, chuck a single Leaf Storm and then do like a... or you could even do like a Leaf Blade Leaf Storm set or something like that, like a mix.
No, Unburdened White Herb Leaf Storm. You Leaf Storm twice.
Oh, true. True.
Yeah, I think this team's... I don't know. I'm going back to thinking this team's pretty top-heavy.
Yeah, I think it's pretty top-heavy for sure. I think that's a fair place to put it at.
We have Le Forge Felice and Heaven 64. Vive Le Forge. Also, my brain is completely broken from all of like the meme names of things. Because Terminal's thing was called the Philadelphia Frillish with a PH, and this one's called Frillish with an F. And Pokemon is super inconsistent with these, so I'm pretty sure it's spelled with an F, but it might be spelled with a PH.
No. Terminals is a joke on the Philadelphia Flyers, the hockey team in Philadelphia, where they have PH as their name for their team.
I mean, this one could also have just been a play on words as well, so it's difficult for me to be able to tell, right?
Yeah, this is fair.
This is my brain being broken from years of playing draft. I mean, I've been watching Little Cup League, so I've been seeing Frillish used.
Frillish is... it's quite good there.
My brain's broken, you know? So this is the Hail team.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting Hail team, because I think seeing like Ninetales Sandslash is like the most that you normally ever see, like just a Hail setter, a Hail rusher.
Hail Rusher.
But then like Glaceon on like the bottom is very interesting too. I think Glaceon has like a lot of it has a lot of potential, especially in a format like this where there's not as many steals, so freeze dry just kind of goes off.
It does. Let's see what monster your Weather Ball besides. Okay, so only Melodic. So nothing that actually gets coverage from it.
Nothing that actually benefits from gaining.
Nidoking gets Blizzard though.
And Ice Beam.
Right, but that doesn't matter for Hail.
Yeah, this is true. Sorry, I didn't realize you were saying that.
No, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking, oh yeah, Melodic and Nidoking and Marshtomp, I suppose. I don't think Mantine gets Blizzard. I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It could. Slash Learn. Mantine, Blizzard. Blizzard can learn it in Gen 8. Okay. Sorry, Mantine can learn Blizzard in Gen 8. You'll be happy to know. Sadly, no rain for the Ryu Cluster's Thunder. This team is... something. This team is really something. I don't know how to feel about this team. This team has like a bunch of weather abusers of the wrong weather. Yeah, I don't know. I think this team is very difficult to place. How do you feel about this team? Okay, I see that you were typing instead of talking, so that suggests that something has gone wrong. Okay, sorry, I will pause the recording for a sec. Alright, so yeah, what do you think about this team?
I think this team's very interesting. It definitely, like, outside of, like, Nidoking and, like, Reuniclus, and then I guess, like, Sandslash, Stoutland in like the lower point totals, it doesn't feel like a team that'll be breaking very immediately. Honestly, like none of these like really feel like breakers in the traditional sense.
Pokemon seems like I think that is most of one thing is that so Reuniclus can be strong, but it prefers to set up. Nidoking can be strong. Sorry, is strong. Melodic can be strong if you like activate its competitive. Like Alolan Ninetales is super reliant on setup and still not certainly onerously strong by any means. It's not one that forces you to respect it immediately. Most Raw Veil is what you have for it. Mantine's not a mod that's very strong. Marshtomp. 85-60. It doesn't seem like a mod that's particularly scary to me. Alolan Sandslash is pretty strong. I think it's got 100 attack.
It's got 100 attack, yeah. So it's not an insane attack stat.
No, it's really not. It appreciates Assault Stance a lot as well. And at 65, I remember I was doing. What was I using Alolan Sandslash for? I was using Alolan Sandslash at some point recently, and it is really still slow, even in Hail.
It is, for sure.
Opposing speed control generally will just completely whack it. I mean, even like a relatively fast Scarfer will outspeed it. And if it's not adamant, its damage output's not there. Stoutland's funny.
And
I don't know what's doing.
It's even crazier because it's the fastest Slush Rush mod. Which is so goofy.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's the fastest.
Okay, so Arctovish is 55, right?
Yeah.
Arctozolt is also 65?
No, Arctozolt's
also 55. And then there's Beartick at 50.
Beartick is 50, yep.
Is Alolan Sandshrew faster or slower?
Alolan Sandshrew is 40.
It's 40? What?
Yep.
Honestly, I thought Sandshrew would be one of those Pokemon that's just a lot faster than its evolved form.
Unfortunately not. So yeah, even like in terms of like the Slush Rush, it's not gonna be like super fast.
Yeah, well this is the fast Slush Rushest at least.
Yeah, I think this team will definitely this team will play games very slowly, I believe. Especially with Reuniclus being your only Trick Room, but Reuniclus really thriving in Trick Room. Yeah. I think that'll be sort of it'll be very interesting to see how that works out.
Acid Armor then?
Yeah, I guess.
I think so. What I can see, right? So no, it doesn't even kind. Like what you Ice Shard Sceptile for with like Wings Policy. I was like Absorb Ball, but you obviously want to be running Acrobatics if you're boosting the Sceptile up because you appreciate the physical stab.
Exactly.
Right, I was thinking like Aquajet or Moldo. But I mean, like, supposedly you could, like, do that. But no, everything else, it's just so passive. And this team is mostly slow. I like it very much.
The team is not super fast on its own. It has a lot of very, like, in-the-middle speed tiers. Like, in the 85 to 65.
Any of the other Hail setters, and honestly, I'm not sure which of them are legal, to be honest. But, like, the other ones get Ice Shard. So you could Ice Shard the Sandslash.
Well, so does Ninetales.
It does get Ice Shard?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, because then you can.
It's used sometimes in BGC to proc like Yveltals.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but I believe you. Because you can Ice Shard Sandslashed and give it +1 attack with a Snowball at least.
With a Snowball, yeah.
Is that better than Life Orb? Probably not. It's fun.
I mean, numbers wise, it is, but.
Alright. Numbers wise, it is if your mon is staying in, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing with Reuniclus is Reuniclus having like the Magic Guard Life Orb potential. But since you're only Trick Room setter, you might want to end up running a more defensive item for it to be able to set up Trick Room, but then it loses out on some of the damage.
Also,
so definitely, this team would benefit from getting another Trick Room setter.
I also think you might want to run Overcoat because this team's pretty slow. So there's a lot of opposing Powderists.
And it'll have
that you have to
and it'll have more. It'll also not take the hail damage.
It won't with Magic Guard either.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. That like is part of why Reuniclus is funny on sand. Is that it doesn't take the sand damage, while you still have like Overcoat to make yourself immune to sleep powders. I don't know. I think this team is forced to play a long game, but it doesn't have a lot of mons that like a lot of their mons. Okay, so like Melodic is really good in a long game. Reuniclus, it's like sort of 50-50 in a long game. It can be really good in some matchups, and some matchups it's not going to be great. I'm going to suggest in most of this team's matchups it's not going to be great because they don't have much that synergizes with it in terms of taking Ghost or Dark moves. one resist for each, and the dark resist is a Lola, Ninetales. So the Nidoking can play a long game, but it doesn't really. Like, it can't even, like, sub, because opposing Triple Axel is a move, and is...
Yep.
Honestly, maybe go down on sub Nidoking and Nidoqueen in this current gen a lot. Mantine thrives in a long game, but also is pretty similar to Melodic. It's a bit of overlap. I don't understand how this team has like 3 water types and it's still kind of weak to fire. But it's just because they really overlap. They're all
That's
relatively
Hail teams.
passive.
Yeah, it has 3 ice types, which is the explanation for that.
Also, its rock type isn't a fire resist, and then it's got like a grass type as well.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a
Also
fire type
true.
itself or a dragon type.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, it's definitely a team that I feel might play a little awkward at points.
I think this team has very specific threats that you have to cater to, but this team is like super forced to, like, it's going to struggle to cater to opposing threats, which is annoying. So Heaven's team was the French Phyllishes. So this team is definitely in the long game. I think this team is,
This team is pretty strongly in the long game, in my opinion.
but it's also pretty young.
It's
I think this team
decently
has a wide
top
threat
heavy.
bubble because I don't respect Sceptile. I don't respect. Sorry, I don't respect Sceptile. I don't
Armaldo.
respect Amaldo. Honestly, don't even know if I respect Stalin that much without Sand.
Yeah, Stalin is interesting. Like, it has the
Intimidate's fine.
Intimidate as
Scrappy's
well, for sure,
fine,
and it
but
has
it
the
doesn't have good
Scrappy to be able to
normal
hit
stab.
stuff. It has
It's still using
dodge, so it's not, like,
Retaliate,
insane. It could use Facade as well.
Oh boy, base 70 move or base 70 move.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely not it's not insane.
Yeah, they're both base 70. So like, yeah, I don't respect it that much.
Yeah,
Without
I
Sand,
think that's
'cause
fair.
Sand
But
is like,
it has good coverage as well.
it mostly seems like a tech. Its coverage is like Fangs, right? It was a mod that was
It has
interesting in
fangs. It has
Max.
play rough. It has
That's true.
fighting move.
What's it fighting move?
I remember. I don't
Let me
remember
check that.
exactly what.
Stoutland fighting. Super
Does it
powerful.
not
I mean, it's not terrible.
Oh yeah,
It's immediately
yeah, I was
powerful,
gonna say.
and this team does appreciate having a mod besides Nidoking that can break steals, because it has a lot of mods that don't like steals that much.
Yeah, it very much will struggle against steel types.
Yeah, like Melodic is really good into steals, and Nidoking can be good into steals, though it has kind of like a 50-50 sort of matchup into it.
Yeah,
I just think this team, yeah,
like
This
this
team
team could
feels very
100% benefit from
top-heavy.
getting a fighting type.
I agree.
At all.
like a lot. And if it has
Yeah.
thick fat, all the better. So yeah,
Yeah, like a
French
Hariyama
Felicians, this
probably
team
would be
is
bad.
pretty long game, and I think it's also pretty
I think
top
it's-
heavy.
I think very long game. I think probably less top heavy than the last we saw.
Yeah,
my opinion.
but I'm still gonna say it's more top heavy than Wait, then the last we saw was
Was
BB
the
Raps
Zapdos
Liberty Build Lux Race.
Crocodile.
I think this is about
Yeah.
as top heavy as Sly Seattle Swallows or BB Raps Liberty Build Lux Race. I think they had more mons that I respect. Like, if I look at Sly's team, I respect all of these Pokemon except maybe not Solrock, depending on like
Fair.
whether my team has a lot of water types. Then I think Solrock's not coming. I look at PB team. I don't respect Grovyle, and it breaks my heart to say this, but I don't actually respect Darumaka. I mean, I would
No,
consider
sure
it. If
do.
my team was weak to fire, I would respect it. If my team was
Yeah.
like, neutral into it or good into it, I wouldn't respect it. But that's more than I can say for. It's like, what, your team is good into water or bad into it. Like, what does Marshall
Yeah.
do here? You have a water type and a ground type, but you also have another water
Yeah,
type.
Marshall doesn't really do anything. Like it's a rock resist at 2 points, which I think is
It's
probably
a white
more of the
type
reason why
mod,
it
but
was
Mantine does
gotten.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would agree with this team being like way more on the long game side of things.
But I'm just downing its ability. It seems top heavy because I just think most of its mons are
Yeah.
not like most of the mons are redundant with other mons, and I'm not really sure. Like, I doubt that there's a game where you bring Melodic, Mantine, and Marshtomp, all 3 of them too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna say
No,
it's
I
pretty
think where it is pretty fair.
I might bring it down a little bit as well. Because it is pretty long game oriented. It very much seems like it's trying to play into Aurora Veil. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have a fake out mod, right?
It does not.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. All right, we have Kenor, Kenor, and the Grafton Gengars.
Yeah, this team immediately strikes me as not very top heavy.
Really? Sorry, what? Sorry, I mean, this team doesn't strike me as wide because it's got a bunch of like tech mons. I mean, they're pretty good though. Yeah,
I mean, it has a bunch of things that like fill roles, but it's more the
just
fact
mid
that,
heavy, right? It's just like super
yeah,
mid heavy,
exactly.
and then like I'd say probably Archeos fits in that as well. They're like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
I'm gonna
very,
grab
it's very
6
like towards
mons.
the middle of the road in terms of points.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that like stands out in terms of being high, and there's a lot of things that are
Puzzle's
at like the
pretty cheap.
middle, the higher.
Kang, I think, was pretty cheap. Azelf pretty
Kang
cheap.
for
Hippo
12.
definitely
Kang for
cheap.
12 is so expensive to me.
You and I don't live in the same universe. What? I mean, I think Kang is like about as good as Mega Kang is, right? Like,
really?
Yeah, it's a really good mon. I mean, Scrappy Fake Out is so in a meta where ghost types are terrifying, is incredible.
Yeah, I won't disagree that Scrappy Fake Out is quite good.
It's also like a format where there are relatively few steel types, so Scrappy Dedge is also really strong. Or Body Slam.
Yeah.
And it's got good support moves. I honestly, I really like Azelf on this team. I really love the Hippo Drake Assault core. I think it's kind of crazy that Drake Assault's legal. Sadly, Dracofish wasn't. It was like the first Pokemon I looked for. Fletchling's really nuts on this team as well. Because this team is pretty mid-range speed-wise, but they're all really strong. And then its Trick Room option is pretty decent. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Duocean and Jellicipod are both pretty decent in and against, and Hippo is really good.
Duocean is also just like bulkier than you'd expect under with an Eviolite, and it has that 125 special attack still, so it's still threatening.
It's incredibly threatening. I mean, it's the strongest special attacker on this team, tied with Azelf. It's got one of the highest offense. Oh god, I just real. Sorry, I was looking at the defense stats. I just realized that Buzzwole has less defense than Glycopod, which is certainly not what I would have thought. I think that the HP goes a long way in making it feel that way.
Glycopod does have a lot of defense for sure, but it also helps that Buzzwole being able to be neutral to like rock and things like that help it seem a lot more defensive.
This team has no fairy resist, which is awkward.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't have a fairy resist, which could be a pain. That being said, we haven't seen a ton of super good fairies.
While you were doubting it.
I mean, I still do.
I think Hippo is phenomenal on this team as well. Hippo is really good. Like I said, I had it in my BDSP 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Broken.
No, I think Hippo is quite good. I think this team is definitely going to play a lot. It's going to flop between playing like offensive and playing like more defensive.
Yeah, this team is
I think it'll very much depend on the week. Like I think this is like the most middle of the road tempo team, and then very wide. Yeah, like that's exactly where I would put it.
Oh my god, what a beautiful team. Actually, I think that of all the teams we've looked at so far, this team is like easily my favorite. I love all three of like the tech piece mons. Like Shinx, okay, Shinx, yeah, exactly. I guess I can give or take, but it is really solid as at 2 points as that Intimidate mon, and like, you know, you're really going to run the Eviolite on Fletchling, so if Duocean isn't coming, Shinx can run it. I've honestly seen Shinx lift some stuff that I would not have expected from a mon with 45, 34, 34, and 65.
Especially with Intimidate.
Yeah, the Intimidate does help. Honestly, Azelf is really good. I think it's a mon that I've really come to respect in recent months. Every time I look at this team, I'm like, wow, this mon's really good. Not Bishop.
I think Bisharp has the potential to do something. I still personally am not a big Bisharp and VGC fan. It definitely
I was a really big Bisharp and VGC fan for a while, and then they started allowing Pokemon that weren't introduced in Gen 5 in the format. You know.
Yeah.
It's like there was a year where Bisharp was incredibly terrifying, and then it just stopped being that. I mean, Fairy types I think also made Bisharp a lot worse. Bishop's just too frail on the special side. This team has a lot of mons that are pretty frail on the special side, now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah, this is definitely true.
I think
it definitely doesn't love...
It does wind up leaning a little bit more towards tempo because of that.
Fair.
but not like a crazy amount by any means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely has those offensive pieces, the potential
really
for pretty
strong.
fast offense, the potential for slow bulk as well. Yeah, I think it's solid.
So you're thinking Kang is overpriced at 12, and you're not loving Bishop. So do you think Kang or Bishop is worth more?
I think both are not worth 12.
Right, but if you had to pick which one would you put higher of the two?
Kang is probably higher.
Okay. I can respect that. Alright, it's your boy.
Yeah, Kang both definitely go down. Yeah, your boy's team.
Borealis Beartix?
Another very wide team, with specific tech pieces.
4 points? Oh no. These ones aren't even tech pieces. These ones are just really good. These ones are all underpriced as fuck. Wait, what? Yo.
Yeah, but that's War Turtle with no follow me.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. I understand that it doesn't have follow me.
Yeah.
I think at 5, it would follow me in a format where the only other follow me mod is Togepi would be nuts, because Togepi was like, what, 8 points?
9.
9? Yeah.
Yeah. It was pricey.
This team hits super hard.
Yeah. The team is interesting. I see immediately like the first like 3 are generally gonna like want to be more special. I don't see as many physical breakers on this team is my main thing that I'm
besides
trying
the
to know.
Tauros,
Like there's Tauros,
and the Scyther, and the Gerda.
Like Torn definitely can be more physical. I'm not trying to discredit that.
Do you count body press as physical? Because Duraludon's best set is body press.
I wouldn't say that like makes it a physical breaker. No.
It also has 95 attack, which is strong.
Yeah, it has 95 attack.
It's a lot worse
its
without
physical move pool is very bad.
It's just better special. It's like a special move pool is Dark Pulse and Thunderbolt, and then
Thunderbolt,
its physical one is it gets like 2 moves. That's bad as much, you know. It's
yeah, no, Duraludon is the epitome of a Gen 8 mon. Having not really insane move pools.
Look, some Gen 8 mons have insane move pools, and some Gen 8 mons are Duraludon, you know.
This is a true statement.
But
yeah,
I think Taunty is a really decent support one for this team. I think this team just hits absurdly hard. Like, I think Scyther is probably one of the best breakers now that it has Technician dual link beat. It's obscenely strong.
Yeah, that's fair. It definitely can do the damage, especially with the highest attack stat on the team.
The highest attack stat. I was looking at that, you know, I'm like, next one of the highest.
This
team is like a really
yeah,
fun.
this team is definitely going to rely on the less expensive mons a good bit, which I'll be interested to see
Scyther
what
has
that does.
120 base power dual wing beat. That's just Brave Bird, but it multi-hits, so it kills mons that are sashed.
Then misses
Jinx
like
is
100%
obscenely
of the time.
good.
Yeah, Jinx is definitely not bad with dry skin being like a water immune, and then also having fake out. It doesn't have freeze dry, which is sort of like on it.
Sure. But it's not like most waters don't love taking in psychics anyways, and you know what else the waters don't love? For some reason, they don't like getting that little bit of a smooch, you know? That seems really insensitive.
True.
I don't know why it's listed
getting lovely kissed is definitely yeah, I think it just takes from the Natdex movesets on some of those.
Have been updated, but
follow me is the one that's like
show us
broken.
having follow me.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's just like a manual thing.
Maybe
like I could literally change it now, but I don't really much more. But yeah.
Yeah, I think this team will play very interesting. It's a very wide team.
Because the one flying resist is awkward. I don't know about round 1 Duraludon, to be honest with you. No, I don't think it'll even
I'll be interested to see how Duraludon works. I think the thing where I'm sort of seeing with this team is that it feels like a team that wants to play pretty offensive, but can't, because it doesn't have like as good of breaking potential.
Like, I think that this team is taking a lot from its abilities, which is probably fine, right? So you have Duraludon. I mean, Duraludon does have pretty decent attack at 120. You know, Draco's strong move. Torn, not so much immediately powerful, but it can play like a mid-range sort of thing where it plays into tempo because it nasty plots up once and then goes. Or you can do like a longer game with bulk up or just purely support. Rotom, nasty plot, but it's also pretty strong with just that immediate Leaf Storm. She has like a million mons that want to run in jetpacks. But like Tauros and Scyther both have really strong boosting abilities on their stabs, which their stabs are already pretty decently strong. Jinx is really immediately powerful, as well as like Lovely Kiss is one of the best tempo tools in the game. Waterloo is pretty decent in terms of just being a mon that can throw out scalds or muddy waters. 65's attack is fine, but the secondary effect is mostly what you're getting out of it, and that is honestly good enough disruption for like a mid-rangey sort of thing. Kofag, pretty decent for just like pure, like if you have a Kofag and like a Flame Orb Gerda, that's pretty strong.
It's definitely going to be doing damage for sure.
And Nidoqueen's really strong as well. But maybe you occasionally consider running a physical Nidoqueen on this team, you're right.
Yeah, it's a team that will be running like mixed mons a lot, or mons like erring towards being mixed.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is pretty good. Like, it's got good tempo,
I think that this
it's pretty wide.
I think the way that I would probably define this in my mind is a team that wants to play tempo but will be forced to play long game half the time.
We'll see. It definitely is maybe more mid-rangey. But I think that they can definitely pull off the tempo aspect. Especially, I think the Trick Room package is really threatening. A lot of opponents will have to respect it. Just because Kofagrius itself is going to like deal with a lot of these teams. But yeah, this team's defensive matchups into stuff don't make me love like the 1 fire resist, 1 flying resist, 1 dragon check, which is an impidimp, by the way. I don't know. I don't know if they can necessarily play long game. Like, worst comes to worst, they have 3 points. They can probably make Taunty into like Thunderous or something. Yeah. I honestly,
if only it was
now I think about it, Taunty is probably just better than Thunderous Eye, but you know. They do call me a hater. So yeah. Did you agree with where I have this on the scheduling?
Yeah, I think that's a fair place to put it.
Scheduling thing, alignment chart. So now we have Sukaba. I actually just watched this draft breakdown earlier today because it took me a while to get around to it, and I forgot everything. No, that's right. I remember he in both the divs we have a Mimikyu Guzzlord Durant combination, which is pretty strong. It's pretty strong.
Interesting. It seems like this team put a premium on support for sure.
Sure.
Like Meowstic, Mimikyu being like your 2 most expensive.
Oh, yeah. I think it's designed to be more offensive Mimikyu though. And
it definitely
because he said he brought that up a lot in the draft breakdown. Otherwise, I'd probably be like, yeah. This team has a lot of just. I think the idea is that it wants to be able to get a sword stance with Mimikyu by making Durant or Naganadel like the main pressuring mon there, or Charizard. But yeah, Meowstic is one of the best support mons in the game. Unfazant is pretty good for its price at support mons. I think maybe overstated a little bit. But honestly, since it got Brave Bird this gen, it's been really strong. Machamp funny. Electabuzz really solid for, I mean, I assume for its price, but I'm just pretty sure. Yeah, 4 points, yeah. Regice and Cloyster. Cloyster is really, really annoying for a lot of teams to deal with because I know I mentioned in the video King's Rock, he talked about how Shell Smash can be annoying to deal with. I actually think the scariest Cloyster set in VGC is Scarf, because it's got a really solid speed tier for Scarf, and the fact that you can KO mons through Sash, or Sturdy, or Sub, is often something
it definitely
answer.
It has the potential to be able to pick up those KOs you wouldn't expect it to.
It's really a mon. Cloyster is a mon, I think, that thrives in Game 2, at like, after you've won Game 1, then having like you play Game 2 like it's a BO1 game, you know? It's really good at making that sort of that mix up. So I think it's a really good pick at 6. This team is super wide. Even with like the top heavy, so I still think this team's pretty wide. I forgot what this team's name was. The Grandma's Toga Kisses. How could I have forgotten? It's one of my favorite logos. God, I love this team. I hadn't noticed it as much during the thing, but this team's really solid.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, 1 rock resist
I'll be very interested to see how it plays.
Just 1 rock resist is not even necessarily true, because while it is technically true, they do have the prankster screens, and also like Durant has a really solid physical defense stat, and then like Mimikyu has a surprisingly good special defense stat. That wasn't actually what I meant to go. It's like Regice, the weakness. You're just gonna like actually prop the weakness policy and then make the Regice scary for once. I think it's pretty good. Also, 2 really good wide guard ones, and Machamp is a pretty good rock resist. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Sure.
I like this team. I have a lot of respect for this team.
I think it's very interesting. It'll play probably
I'd say.
pretty tempo heavy. I feel.
Like, it can, but also Meowstick is really good at shutting down opposing teams.
Hmm.
Like, Guzzlord can go long game. Durant's got some really funny sets that I've used before. Even just in singles, but like they mentioned in the video, they would like consider bringing like the Truant entrainment. I don't know if Naganadel has Gastro Acid. I think Gastro Acid's the one, but I know there's a strat you can do with the thing to basically just shut down one of your opposing Pokemon after you get your first 2 KOs. Slash learn Naganadel Gastro Acid. It does. Yeah, so Naganadel can Gastro Acid Durant. Like, if you're in, like, the late game, right? So you've gotten 2 KOs in the early game with the tempo. Then you can Gastro Acid Durant and entrain one of the other Pokemon to have Truant. Then you can just, like, protect every second turn and they won't be able to do anything.
Yeah, true.
It's just, like, deleting them on, which is really funny. Or you can do that with Hustle and they won't be able to do anything anytime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it leans towards tempo, but it's like its late game's still really strong, and it's also quite wide. I don't like the thing where they like sit off each other. It's pretty wide, but it's also got like a really core top section, and then the other mons just kind of slot in. Very like plug and play sort of team. I like it a lot. All right, so now we get to one of the absolute goats, the Waterloo Worm Adams, as coached by Steve. What process do sometimes? Yeah, Raikou, one of the absolute premium mons in this format. Shedinja, this team was semi-drafted around Shedinja, in the sense of it was a team that explicitly tried to get as few weaknesses to Shedinja's weaknesses as possible, and I think it certainly did that.
It definitely did. It's a team that picked up 3 of the very limited number of fairy types in the format.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong. Fairy spam. That's why Baby has no like other fairy types. He took all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly forgot about that. Okay, this team is absolutely filthy. Sandaconda's a really funny support option. I like it a lot. Regijai Jujujus with GOE is pretty good. This team is also has one of the 2 terrain setters, with the other terrain setter being Grookey.
Yep.
So like that's nuts. Raikou's really good. Alcremie, I absolutely have a lot of respect. Well, no, I don't. Okay, I don't want to lie. Alcremie I like because this is a low tier format. Yeah, that's how I can put it. Carving is actually genuinely good. Okay, get off the screen.
Yeah, I think Alchemy will have like its occasional uses with like decorate and things like that.
It's also
but I
just,
don't think it's going
like
to be
you can slap specs on it maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
for sure.
Just like
I think this is definitely a format where it seems like like I understand that it's outside of Dynamax, but Regigigas definitely still has potential to do some big damage next to that
Honestly,
Weezing.
I think that slow start Regigigas is pretty decent in this format. If this team can play a long game to the point that like it could genuinely get.
It's definitely a much lower power level than.
Yeah. And that defensive stat line of 110, 110, 110, it's bulkier than Mew. It's really solid.
It's quite bulky, and on normal type that's not too bad either.
Absolutely, yeah. And this team's not bothered by fighting types really. That said,
Yeah, especially
I suppose
between
there's a question of whether you want Regigigas or Dropper in most games.
Yeah, that's
also,
fair. I think it'll depend sort of on if you want to err more towards like the
and
trick
one of
room
the better
side or not.
dragons. That's crazy late to get Dropper. Like I know the previous team we looked at, Tsukaba, they got Naganadel in free trades. They originally had Kingdra.
Yeah.
This team didn't have that excuse, you know.
Yeah, they had Naga Guz too. Like they had 2 dragons.
Yeah, that's true.
But this team definitely like between the very obvious like trick room mode of like Drampa Beheum or and like I guess Carving too. But then like on like the more offensive side in terms of non-trick room, like you have Raikou, you have Regigigas. Those are both gonna deal with each other, or like help each other out pretty well. Sandaconda I think will be a very interesting pick. In terms of if you end up wanting to set up Sand for whatever reason, and kill your Shedinja, or if you want. Yeah, exactly. Or if you want to play like more of like a defensive set with it, I think Sandaconda is very interesting. Like a budget Hippowdon.
Yeah, I mean,
most
teams
part.
don't really abuse Sand at all.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying that as a joke to kill the Shedinja.
Oh, yeah. I don't think the
Um,
Shedinja. I think the Shedinja is going to be in the 6 most weeks, but I don't think it's going to be in the 4 most games.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that Shedinja is definitely, in my experience at least, much more of a prep threat, which is why I rate it fairly low.
I mean, I rate it on this
Like,
team. I rate it very specifically. This team
yeah,
has
I think that it's
no
not
flying
bad on this
weakness.
team for sure.
This team has no other rock weakness. This team
Yep.
has one other ghost arc weakness. Shedinja
No other
is
fire weakness.
no other fire weakness. Shedinja's pretty good on this team. I like this team
Shedinja is
doesn't have
very
fire, though.
specifically tailored to be on this team. Yeah.
Yeah, this team was made, like, crafted with the idea that Shedinja was going to be on this team, and it absolutely shows. It's got to be one of the best teams I've seen with no fire type or cross type.
Mhm.
I think one of the concerns I have about this team is maybe it might struggle into opposing dual screens.
Might struggle into opposing dual screens and weather, I think.
Well, I mean, look,
it
they can
doesn't
always
have-
change other people's weather.
This is true. It doesn't have the most insane of speed control options, the main reason why I say that.
Hmm.
Like, no tailwinds, no nothing like that. And if they end up not bringing Trick Room to a game, they're sort of, like, sitting ducks at that point.
Sure. Look, I couldn't tell you if they were, ducks, if they were, sitting, standing. I'm just trying to remember what the team name is. I'm very stupid, I'm sorry. The Waterloo Worm Adams. That's right, it's the Wikipedia one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where to put this team. So it's
Honestly,
wide, right? But it's
where
playing for a
you
long
just
game,
sort of
yeah.
left it, I don't think is that crazy. I think that kind of leaving it, like, right in the middle of everything is not
But-
insane.
I think probably
'Cause
more
it-
towards wide, right?
Yeah, it has some, yeah, it has a lot more, like, expensive pieces,
I think it
but
leans-
I wouldn't look at this team and say that any 6 or, like, any 4 even will 100% come to, like, every week.
I mean, it's cheapest Mons Behem, right? That's at 4
Yeah.
points. That's pretty wide. Like, a lot of teams have
Like-
1, 2, 3 pointers. And then Behem
Yeah.
is pretty underpriced at 4. Also, you said this team is weak to opposing weather. They literally have Golduck.
Also true.
I totally hadn't forgotten about that until right now, but yeah.
Fair enough.
I think Golduck.
Yeah,
is
I
fun.
think where you put it is pretty fair. I think putting it, like, a little bit more towards wide.
I would put it
and
more
then,
towards
like,
wide,
sort of very
but I
in the
don't
middle
want
of
it to
tempo
lap
lane.
over Cicadas.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like this level of wide.
Yeah.
And I don't like that it's on like a. I can't make it move
It's fine if
lower
it covers up a
either.
little bit.
Help! I hate this. why must this contraption confound me so? I think it does it in the order I put it on as well, not in any predetermined order or anything. So yeah, I like this team a lot. Sorry, back to the joke I was going to make as a transition before I realized that we went there. I couldn't tell you if it was a duck, but I can certainly tell you that our next coach is a mallard.
Oh, okay, that's what you're going for. I thought you were making a Golduck joke. That makes more sense.
That would have made more sense, but I hadn't thought about it. So.
Yeah, it also helps that Mallard has the P2, so that is the other end of that duck joke.
Yeah. I think are mallards ducks or geese? I'm not sure.
Mallards are ducks.
Okay, because we have goose as well, and I wasn't sure if that was something we had to be sensitive.
That could go even further in on it.
I don't know. I genuinely, I wasn't sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would speak whatever language mallard is in.
Fair.
Mallards are a dabbling duck that breeds throughout the temperate the temperate and subtropical Americas, Eurasia, and North Africa, and has been introduced to New Zealand, Australia, Peru, Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, the Falkland Islands, and South Africa. I've definitely seen these ducks before, but I did not know that they were called mallards. I thought they were just called ducks. They're like the greenhead duck, and then the other duck is like the regular duck.
Yeah.
So now that I understand what the coach is doing, now let's see if we can understand this team. Dugtrio broken.
Now that you understand your taxonomy in terms of
Dragonite
ducks,
is
let's go
absolutely
back to
nuts. I think it's
Pokemon.
the best dragon that was legal.
Dragonite is definitely very good.
You can Aqua Jet proc the Colossal. It's literally no, no, please, no, please, haven't we suffered enough? No Dragonite Colossal, not again.
I think, yeah, Cole definitely outside of Max doesn't have as insane of potential, but it's still
no
a very
Vocalist.
solid.
It's still
mon.
really good.
For 6 points, it's definitely solid.
I thought it was 6
I think
points.
Lurantis.
What?
Lurantis to me is a mon that like has so much cool potential. And it doesn't have a prankster mon to really help it with on this team, which I think would be super, super cool. But I love Lurantis just next to like a scary face or like a like with any of those stat dropping.
You just parting shot it with Torracat, right? Isn't that the idea?
I don't think can you parting shot your teammate? Honestly, I don't remember.
I think so.
Yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, that definitely helps.
I'm pretty sure I've seen someone parting shot a teammate because the opponent had
magic bounce.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
no, it was actually soundproof, but yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, you can target your partner.
Got you. Okay.
It was a
that's definitely something then, especially between the like superpower and leaf storm that Lurantis has. I think Lurantis will be interesting for sure.
Is there another one past from what?
No. But then I think like P2 in this format seems unkillable to me.
Polygon 2 was considered to be like the scariest mod.
Yeah, like I just don't think it'll die, which is like
so
great.
My counterpoint to that is fighting types are broken in this format.
Yeah, but there's not a ton.
I mean, there's a lot of them. I don't know why, but Baby Conference didn't seem to draft many of them. But,
that's more what I'm saying. We haven't seen a lot drafted.
Fighting types are just nuts in this format, I think.
I think fighting types are very consistently one of the things that like VGC draft always feels like it requires.
I don't know if they necessarily require it, but I would say most of them seem to be very threatened by them.
Yeah, exactly.
That said, this team is okay in fighting types because you can ally switch with your Dog Trio, and the Dog Trio can die instead. That with Slowbro and Dragonite both check fighting types pretty well and do damage to them, unlike the Mogo, which technically also checks fighting types, and the Scolipede that also technically checks fighting types, but don't do damage.
Yeah, and you also have like the Intimidate, you have Dragonite can come in, use that multiscalar inner focus.
It is a lot less relevant this gen. Because so many fighting types have inner focus and stuff.
I think this team will play very interesting. This team definitely feels like it's one of the least tempo-based teams that I've seen. It seems like a team where every mon wants time.
I guess Wishy-Washy is the only like really immediately powerful mon, right? So I'm just gonna see if I can change this to Wishy-Washy Schooling.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it has like 140 attack or something. I cannot change it to Wishy-Washy Schooling. I'm pretty sure it has 140 attack though.
It's something. It's either 130, 140 on them.
I think it's 135 in one and 140 in the other, and it's like 130 in both of its defensive stats.
No, it's 140 both attacks, and then 130 and 135 on its two
I
defenses.
count that as me being correct.
It was close enough.
It's like I'm just gonna count it, you know. Okay, yeah. I actually didn't realize it gets slower.
Yeah, it gets slower by 10, which is crazy.
It's funny. It's just a really random decision to make.
Yeah. No, I think everything else Wishy-Washy is very interesting on this team. Having both your water types the same speed.
Dragonite's immediately strong.
Dragonite's definitely immediately strong. But it's more of like... Yeah. I think that Dragonite is like probably the only thing that's going to like immediately do a lot of stuff. Most of the other stuff is going to want to like work alongside the team. Or
the real like trick room part of this team is like Wishy-Washy Slowbro, because Cole, it doesn't really function.
Cole could be in
like
trick room.
It's not like a mon that it's fine in trick room. It's just like you're really just doing Meteor Beam then. I guess you could weak this policy in anyways. You can just not run straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Then like Galar Stunfisk is also not very good.
Yeah, I was gonna say Galar Stunfisk is the antithesis of good.
I have very low opinion on Galar Stunfisk. Also, I had to change the doc and like copy stuff over because it wasn't implemented in the Galar format for the previous version of the doc, and literally
didn't care about it.
The update came out yesterday.
Oh.
With the Galar forms of some like random mons. I'm sorry if anyone heard me whacking my bottle into the microphone. I apologize.
But I definitely think this team will err more towards long games for the most part. Um,
Yeah, this team is like
it
super
definitely feels that way to me.
super long game. Like it doesn't really break with anything besides like an offensive boosting item D-Knight or Wishy-Washy.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what the team was called. This is Mono Mallard's Wedge House Whimsicott.
I think it's very, very long game and then pretty top heavy.
Yeah. This is even
I would say
more
put
long
that
game than
there.
the French one.
Put that there. Put Dover a little bit to the right. Put Frillish a little bit to the right. I would just like
The
shift
right?
everything a little. Yeah. to the
No,
right.
I'm not moving the French Filish less that
No.
way. I had to remember what my lefts and rights were. No, I'm just gonna put this. Honestly, this is basically solely long game. I'm gonna put it for No, I know that's top heavy. It's already at the
Yeah.
bottom. I'm going crazy.
It's already as long game.
Yeah, I mean, all of these Pokemon are tech Pokemon. This is like the opposite of the team where like they have white. Like this team has Porygon 2 is really good, Torracat's really good, Dragonite's really good, and Slowbro is good. Everything else here is super modular, super inconsistent. Everything's just matchup fish mons, basically.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a Molga does.
Motor drive for the most part.
What does Motor Drive do?
When hit by an electric type.
Okay,
move
no,
boost.
I understand what it does, but like, what do you mean? Like,
It's
well,
an electric immunity on a team with 2 water types.
okay, but they have 2 ground types.
I mean, yeah, it's also
I guess
it's
one
also
of them's a fairy type. We found their fairy
It's
type, by
also
the way.
special flying attacks and whatever. Yeah, it's definitely not. Like, I don't think Emolga does a specific ton, but I also don't think it's
I
bad.
would just like to point out that Galarian Stunfisk against Steve is their Dark Resist. It's the only time it's a Dark Resist.
Yeah.
It's not great. All I'm saying is this is the matchup for the Unburdened Purloin. All right. So sometimes you have to follow something. You need your chaser. You need something to really follow up the thing. It's our thing, and so you're gonna have a little bit of chillax with some Pokemon and beer. All right.
Yeah, and then very on the contrary to last team, having no Dark Resist, this team immediately has
this team stole all
those
the Dark
3.
Resists.
Yeah.
It has 3, which
And then
2
also
are
got
real.
two ghost types to boot.
I don't think Zoroark is real. Do you
It's
agree or
definitely not.
disagree? I mean, Illusion's
No, it
probably
is-
going to screw someone, but I don't know. I feel like if this team was better, or was worse into Darks, Zoroark would make more sense. Zoroark doesn't present anything particularly interesting.
Yeah,
Just,
it's
Drifloon
not
and
really
Rotom are
immediately.
what is it, Metang? I don't know. Morgrem and Metang competing for things basically means that Morgrem's going to want to run Light Clay a lot because Metang is a better Eviolite user, but Morgrem does appreciate Eviolite a lot. Cinderace is really, really, really strong. Persian's really, really, really good at sporting things.
Yep.
I don't know why Cordelia's here in third. I wonder if it was a transaction. I don't know.
Yeah,
Haxor's
I'm
really
not
good.
exactly sure.
Metang
Cordelia
is
is
good.
like definitely interesting.
Cordelia's a fine Pokemon. It just seems early.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing that I noticed
Zorua
this
is
team
coming
doesn't have a
against
Trick Room
against
setter.
Mallet though.
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
80
this team
attack.
not having
What?
a Trick Room setter is definitely a bit of an annoyance.
I have never heard of a Rictroom. What does
Sorry?
it mean? I have never heard of a Rictroom before.
Did I not say
I don't
Trick
believe
Room?
in it. No, you did.
Oh.
I'm trying to do a bit.
Oh, sorry. First rule of improv. Yes, and sorry, my bad.
Yes, and yeah, sorry. You know, have you done a lot of improv? I've not done improv.
No, I've not. I just know that's a joke.
Okay.
In the improv community.
The improv community. The only person I know.
I'm sure you could ask Jace.
Yeah, so I was gonna say the other person I know who is in the improv community is gonna be in our next video. I don't know if you would.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so ice. I don't like the fact that all their ice resists are super frail on the special side. Okay, not super frail with Metang, but 80, 75, 65,
Yeah,
55.
definitely.
And I mean, even then,
Yeah.
still 60, 80, but the EVL.
And also, one of them is Libero Ace, so it's like not even like that's immediately always a nice resist.
I was thinking it was clicking Iron Head.
Oh yeah, true. It would
Yeah,
click
yeah.
Iron.
Yeah. I mean, they just have a Berserker on this team, right?
Yeah, true. They just need to have a Steely Spirit.
Yeah, that one that's not legal. It's perfect. I think it seems solid. Like,
Yeah, the team is solid. It doesn't like it has.
This team's middle. Like, I just okay. So I drafted Flygon, but I don't actually think it's that very good. So it's a good thing that it's paired with Haxorus. I don't think
Flygon's
Cordelia's
gonna be
particularly good.
interesting.
I don't think Metang is particularly good. I don't think Quillfish is particularly good. I also drafted Quillfish, but no, I just hate my own team. I don't think Rotom's particularly good. I think Drifloon sucks without a terrain. I think Zorua is not a real Pokemon, and Morgrem isn't even super great. So then the question is Flygon great? I don't really think so. So it's just
I think
Haxorus, Persian,
the main thing with Drifblim on this team is that I'm pretty sure Alolan Persian gets Brutal Swing. If I'm wrong, then this statement goes away.
So
For
you're spending...
Drifblim, it does not get Brutal Swing. Never mind, that sucks.
Okay, so even if it did, right, you'd be clicking a support move in Brutal Swing to get the weakness policy off, because it's not going to be doing damage with its 60 attack.
Yeah.
To then get Drifblim fast so that you can...
So you can kill stuff.
Click
good.
Acrobatics? Like...
Yeah, pretty much.
You're just not going to be doing anything strong with that combination, and you're probably going to do a lot of damage anyway, even with that 60 attack. It's still weak to it.
It's definitely...
And it's got 44
It's not
defense.
like... yeah, it's not the most, like, insane...
Drifloon is a mon
insane
that
strat.
appreciated Unburden Seed, because it really appreciates the Seed bulk boost.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got really high HP and really crap defenses. Like the opposite of most ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I like this. I like this team feels super top heavy in the sense of Persian is probably going to be field mandatory every game. Cinderace and Haxorus are going to be like the only ways you actually kill things. And then beyond that,
yeah, that's the other thing. This team just does not have special breaking potential at all.
It's like nasty plot regular Rotom with its 95 special attack and Shadow Ball, which is 80 base power, Thunderbolt.
And that's not even like anything immediate.
Well,
like
Credilli with Meteor Beam.
Yeah,
it's funny.
And each of those still would require setup, which is the main issue there. Yeah, I definitely think this team would benefit a lot from getting.
I mean, realistically,
more special attack.
Its immediate damage is Life Orb Special Flygon, which I appreciate is something that you have to do if you have a Flygon because it doesn't get high horsepower, but it's also not good.
Yeah.
And when I say I appreciate it, I actually don't appreciate it at all, and I regret drafting Flygon. But I don't actually regret drafting Flygon because there were no other ground types.
I think Flygon's not bad. It doesn't do a ton, but what it does okay at.
I mean, I got it round 11, and I don't fully understand getting it early. But I mean, this team can still just kill teams really, really quickly. It's got like absurd levels of burst damage. Like this team just kills things, and as long as you have it killing things, you'll be doing the right stuff. This team also appreciates that Zygarde isn't legal a lot.
Yeah,
like
also very true.
Because
it may struggle to get kills at points, but I think when it does, it'll
it'll
be able to
never gonna
build off that pretty well.
It turns out having an ability that gives you a 1.5x boost on all of your moves, most of which are high base power, is okay.
Yeah, the other thing with Cinderace is, at least in my experience, I love having Helping Hand alongside Cinderace, and the only Helping Hand user aside from Cinderace is Rotom.
Just helping hand yourself.
Definitely, yeah, exactly. So it could benefit from having another Helping Hand as well.
Do you reckon Morgrem gets Encore?
Also true.
What? No, I don't know.
Oh, does it get Encore? Oh, I thought it did, but it might not.
It might. It doesn't get, like, it and Impidimp have... No, it doesn't. Actually, I'm not even sure if Grim does. Grimmsnarl does not.
It doesn't. Now what I think about it.
Like, Grim, Morgrem, and, like, they all lose moves in, like, when you're going back evolutions. Like, the baby one doesn't even get screens. That said, this team is actually really solid on screens. Now that I'm looking at it, it's like... now that I remember they have Mogo, Credilli's really good, Haxorus is really good on screens, Metang is really good on screens, Flygon's probably still terrible, Quillfish, probably still terrible. Driftbloom honestly seems like it's a mon that appreciates screens a lot. Rotom does not mind screens at all, and it is also alternatively a mon that can set screens if you did want to do like an EVL, more bulky Morgrim, even potentially like a nasty plot set or whatever, with its powerful 75 special attack. This team just doesn't have stats that whelm me, and it's got a lot of mid abilities. Normally, if you have low stats, you want to combine them with good abilities, and I don't think this team does that a lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main thing. Like, outside of like Libero Ace, nothing on this team like super like excites me
So
in
if
terms
I
of
delete Zorua, right? 469 is an okay base stat total, but I don't like that there are two mons competing for the EVL light slot.
Mm-hmm.
And that your team is just not that immediately powerful. This team is certainly like the antithesis of a tempo team beyond like on the special side. But the physical side is also really good, so it's just weird, right? I don't remember what this team's called.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Red Gyarados. I'm assuming that the Red Sox are from Cincinnati or something.
Yeah.
Because that's like the only thing I know. So this team is top heavy, and
The Cincinnati Reds, not the Red Sox. My bad.
I don't know America. I know the Red Sox are a thing.
Yeah.
So I just assumed that was what the thing was.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I didn't.
No, obviously it would be the Cincinnati Red Sox if it was that, right? Or it'd be the Red Sox.
Yeah,
Which
that
is
would
just
make sense. the red Gyarados instead.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. I just feel like this team could do with a non-meteor beam immediately strong move on the special side. Actually, what's Metang's special attack? Because Metagross has got good special attack. It's 55. Metang's attack is 75. Okay, I might have been overrating Metang.
No, yeah, because the thing with Metagross is it gains 180 base stat total going from Metang to Metagross.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, so, and that's pretty much all in offensive stats, and then, like, 20 in speed.
Oh, it's also in its HP and defense.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we look at Metagross, Metagross has an extra 30 defense, an extra 10 special defense, an extra 20 speed, an extra 40 special attack, an extra 60 attack, and an extra 20 HP.
Mm-hmm.
That's a couple stats.
Yeah, definitely a couple is what I'd call that.
Like, if I were to say, like, are they dating, are they not dating, that is a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree.
I don't... did we put this on the thing? I think we did.
Yeah, you just put it towards the top heavy, and then sort of in the middle of things, which
it's
I think I agree
definitely
with.
multiples long game.
Yeah.
Just because it does, like, I mean, this is a phenomenal long game mon in terms of support options. Persian can just be that win condition in the long game, because honestly, foul play is a broken move in this format. I don't know how many teams we looked at, but even this team with its 3 dark resist isn't that good in dark,
Yeah. Because it doesn't
and,
really have many ways of killing them.
I mean, it's got Morgrim. It's got high jump kick, Cinderace, right? It's going to be okay. It also has all the dark types.
Yeah, this is also true.
I mean, it doesn't really, because Zorro is not. But, it's got Persian, which is, I think, the best dark type, probably.
Yeah.
I have to look at the tier list, but I don't think there's a better dark type that's legal.
Well, at least in terms of support. In terms of offense, the next team has
a good dark type.
one
Does it have
that
the one
might
I'm
be
thinking
better.
it does? It does have exactly the one I was thinking of.
Yup.
It's also got the second best support one.
Yeah, that it does.
Oh my god, and it has a go to bed and look outside. Now take a deep breath, I get real high, say hey. What's poppin' on?
Yeah, this team immediately strikes me as
This team seems so much better than half of the other teams we've looked at.
Yes.
My god.
Because like even in the worst case, you have like spritzy Appleton trickery.
Wait, there's nothing critical. There's no like fat scale. I can't just put this at like the good scale. I think Appleton's decent. I think Orbeetle is the least useful mon on this team.
Yeah, I would
really
probably agree.
Sableye is really good. Blacephalon is really good with Noivern. It's honestly kind of mid without Noivern, but with Noivern it's really good because you can Mind Blown and like get a lot of damage out there with telepathy. But even without that, its damage output's still pretty decent. Novern's funny. Like, we've seen so many teams that are weak to Ghost or Fire. This team is a great example of a team that's weak to things, but it just kills them first. This team is super tempo, but then it also has a long game.
Yeah,
it's just
this team for sure does not appreciate a large variety of types.
but it appreciates,
there's a lot
it
of
appreciates
types
killing them
that-
fast.
Yeah, this team is probably one of the more tempo-heavy teams we've seen.
Yeah, but it has like a weird, like, its low end is all long game.
Yeah, exactly. Which, to be fair, low end tends to be that anyways. Just based on the fact that many of them do not have as good of offensive or speed stats and tend to be more support.
Yeah.
But like even to that extent, like Doug Trio Alola is like there in terms of being able to provide.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the low end,
but
I meant like Pokemon that aren't actually on the low end, like Venusaur. No, I meant like more like Quag is really good. Appleton is super not great on this team, I think is my concern, because this team's weak to ice. If this team was not weak to ice, Appleton's really good. This team's also a bit weak to flying, which is another thing that Appleton doesn't appreciate.
Yeah, only flying resist being Doug Trio is a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, this team's flying resist is KOing it with Blacephalon.
Yes. I think the main thing with this team that you'll end up seeing is pretty much like just try and go for as much immediate damage as possible.
Yeah.
With like a Blacephalon, Noivern, Hydra, Sableye. It also doesn't help their top four overlap at least one type between each of them. Except for Blasef and Hydra.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant like you go.
Oh no, I meant like between each of the mons.
Dragon, Dark. If Noivern was a fire type instead of a flying type, oh boy.
Yeah, then it would be the perfect
if it was
overlap.
Turtonator, Or what's the good one? Reshiram.
Reshiram, yeah.
Yeah, if
definitely
Noivern was Reshiram, this team would be worse or something.
True.
I don't think so, but
But definitely the top four
Wait, Noivern's
of those
really
being ones that I think will come to most games,
team's
and then
so
overlapping
special.
so much in terms of their
This team's physical damage output is running a special mod physical.
Blacephalon.
No, it's not, because Blacephalon doesn't get Flare Blitz, it gets Fire Punch. It doesn't get Poltergeist, it gets Shadow Sneak.
This is true.
No, it's
Shadow Claw.
Hydreigon. Hydreigon has, I think, it's 105.
It has an okay physical move pool, and it has Dragon Dance.
Yeah.
Most of its physical move pool is the Fangs.
It's probably also Noivern. I've seen Noivern do physical stuff before. No, I was going to say it's Foul Play.
Yeah, also true.
Like
yeah, no,
Venusaur
this
can be
team
physical.
definitely does not
Like,
have
Doug
the
is not.
most physical orient.
This team just feels kind of like it has to run one of its special mons physical, otherwise it gets blanked by Light Screen. I would say that this team kind of honestly seems, as strong as it is, it seems like it almost, it really has to struggle in the builder more than a lot of the other teams that we've seen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that comes a lot with what I was talking about in terms of the top four being so similar to each other in terms of their weaknesses.
I mean, look at himself. I mean, the fair resist's questionable. Appleton being a third dragon, I don't know if that necessarily made sense. When they had like extra points, they could have spent it on something else. Then again, it was 4 points. It's pretty good at 4 points. Let's look at
it's definitely not
to see
bad
if
for
there's
4
anything
points.
that I would have been like, you should have considered that. Not really. Most of the ones in 6 are not as good. I mean, it's Haunter. I wouldn't have minded Haunter on this team. That really looks like it. Everything else doesn't, I think, make more sense. There's Magmar, actually. Magmar, but you have to Saffron. Magmar's just very good. Piloswine would have been funny. Because, Walreign's not
Piloswine
enough
would have
for
been
us, so.
interesting. Yeah, I definitely would rate this team very much towards the tempo side of things.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's got a late game. It's just that its late game is all in the, lower end, which is going to be coming ideally less. But, it may well come more. I think this team is relatively top-heavy. As good as its late-game stuff is, it's top-heavy stuff. Like, a lot of its late-game stuff, I think the problem is that outside of, Sableye Venusaur, albeit it's not coming into the offense saying Appleton is not really doing a whole lot because the people are going to already be trying to track. Like, I mean, we run into those teams that have 0 dragon
Yeah.
resists, and you know what? You might run like a Scarf Appleton because it's base 30 at Scarf outspeeds like half their team because admittedly a lot of the teams are not as fast, right? It might happen. I'm just questioning whether it's going to be better than the Noivern and High Dragon, you know. Especially with a lot of these teams still having ices, even if they don't have resists to dragon. Yeah. Haunter, I think, is maybe something worth looking into. And Power Swine's broken. Oh my god, Grookey! Grookey! I actually have no idea if Venusaur gets Grassy Glide or not. If you were to guess.
Venusaur does. It does.
Okay, then they should get Grookey, and this team would be broken. I think Venusaur has more attack than Grookey. Grookey's got like 75, I think.
Yeah.
65.
So.
Venusaur's got way more. You just run one Scarf and one Bandit. I don't know why you're running one Scarf when it's Grassy Glide, but you know what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think about these things. I don't know why they have...
One light or
wait,
one Bandit.
Appleton's also a secondary Grass. Does Appleton get Grassy Glide?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it does as well. I know Flapple definitely does. Yeah, so Appleton does as well. Okay, all I'm saying is Grookey. Broken. I don't know. Goose. Goose's team. It's really got you goose. Is that the expression?
Yes.
I think it's the expression.
That's.
The Plundering Berserkers. Took me a while to figure out what the team name was.
Yeah. This team. Yeah, it's very interesting to me. I don't know how I feel about Magnezone in VGC because it's
Magnezone's
like
not your question. I mean, Magnezone's okay. I think it's a lot better in this format than it is in standard.
Yeah, no, Magnezone is definitely the first thing that I question. I think Sigilyph is honestly pretty solid.
No, so I look at this team. G-Zap's good. Lightbot is good. Sigilyph is broken. Magnezone's pretty good. Centiskorch is good. Rhydon's good. Dragolgi, Trevenant. Why is your Trick Room core so fast? Like,
yeah, I don't think that's necessarily like a Trick Room core per se.
Skarmory is good. Like, this team doesn't really have good anti. Like, Rhydon is okay anti-Trick Room. Like, what, you're gonna run an Iron Ball on Dragolgi? I don't know. Skarmory's not great. I don't know what
the team is
does for this
definitely,
team.
in terms of its
Kingler.
speed tiers,
Denny's
are
broken.
very like between other teams. Because like its fastest being at 106 and slowest being at 40 means it doesn't outspeed most teams and it doesn't underspeed most teams.
Yeah, and then it's still got the same phenomenon we've seen with
And it's
other
got that-
teams with it where it's clumped up in the middle. And this team
Yeah,
is
and it's got
also
that
super
big
clumped up.
speed gap between 97 and 75.
Yeah, I don't love it. Like, I don't know. Do you want to run
I
speed?
think-
You do want to run speed.
like-
Kingler. You often don't on Skarm. You sometimes do on Centiskorch. You often do on Magnezone, but you also often don't. Sorry, the reason I think Magnezone is good in VGC is because it has 30.
Mm-hmm.
So it forces something, right?
Yeah, I think my main thing with this team is that I like a lot of these mons on their own, but I think as a team, I don't think that they promote
Necessarily gel.
a ton of synergy.
Yeah. I don't understand why this team has 3 flying types.
Yeah, that's also fair. And only one
I-
has Tailwind, which is even funnier.
Yeah, I don't understand why Skarmory's on this team.
Yeah, Skarm definitely doesn't feel necessary.
I have used Skarmory before. I had it in BDSP. I didn't think it was very good.
Yeah.
But even then, like, I think it literally won a set for me because the opponent didn't bring any fire or electric type moves. But you have good mons that are weak to fire and electric, so I don't think that that's something you can necessarily rely on. Also, fire types are much better in this format, and electric types are pretty solid in this format. So I think that's also a big question. But then again, we've seen
And I
a
guess
lot
to
of teams
that
with
front,
fire
you
types.
have Rhydon to that extent. But
yeah, it's got
still.
Lightning Rod. Like, this team isn't weak to electric or fire. It's just the Pokemon with those stabs are going to want to come into these games.
Yeah.
More so than Pokemon are going to want to run, like, Flamethrower. Because they
Oh,
hate
yeah, definitely.
Skarmory, Trevenant, and Magnezone. Then again, they'll probably run around Heat Waves, like, on like, your flying types.
Mhm.
But electric moves, I think I am less worried about if they're non-step. I don't know. This seems just it's okay. Denny is actually really funny because I think I don't think it gets entrainment. I think you have to like skill swap off of it. But Cheek Patch is a good ability. Yeah, I don't know. Beyond this, it seems okay. This team is like this mod is super like GZAP hits really hard immediately. Magnezone hits really hard immediately. Sigilyph hits really hard immediately, but can also late game. Dragolgi is not very good. I don't like it very much, but like it's strong at least. And then like a lot of this Kingler hits super hard, and then everything else is like live bot. It's what special attack are you supporting? Because all the special attackers are like slow. Sigilyph, but Sigilyph doesn't need support generally because of Tinted Lens.
Yeah.
Is it just price?
Or Magic Guard Life Orb as well.
Magic Guard Life Orb's not very good. I think it's a bait often. Look, in my experience, Magic Guard Life Orb is really a bait if you're not like maxing Sigilyph. Tinted Lens is just really strong. And you often don't really care about switching up moves because of Tinted Lens. And look how many of these teams have had mid-psychic matchups. Like, you look at that Bishop team. That Bishop is going to die to the Air Slash.
Yeah.
And then what are they doing with the rest of it? That was their psychic check. That was their flying check. Whereas, you run Magic Guard Life Orb, you click Heat Wave, and it doesn't do that much. Because it's a spread move, and you're not getting stab on it.
Yeah, true. I think definitely the offensive pieces have pretty good potential on this team. I'll just see how they end up working all together.
Just this speed is so awkward. You're going to have to wind up scarfing Center Scorch or Kingler a lot.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a potential.
Yeah, and similar to the Fake Out being on Purloin, except I think Fake Out on Lipod is worse because Lipod is stronger. But it's still fine. I mean, we've seen teams with no Fake Out, so having like a limited Fake Out is fine.
Yeah, it's better than none.
This team's got Goose. I don't really know where to put it.
I think personally,
this team's top heavy, right?
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely kind of wide, right? So
it's wider than top heavy. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it definitely has a lot of mons that I think can be like a lot of like the higher point mons I can definitely see not coming weeks or coming weeks. Yeah. Like I think that it's definitely
certainly not. GZAP isn't going to come every game. Lipod is probably going to come to most games, but I don't think that's the only one.
Yeah, exactly. Lipod is the only one that I see like 100% coming. I think this team is like it's probably middle of the road in terms of top heavy and wide.
So we look tempo against long game. They have a lot of long game.
And then they have a lot of long game, but I also think they have a good amount of tempo.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like the Zapdos, Sigilyph.
The pack team, I think.
Yeah, it's very middle of the road. I feel. I think that's honestly a pretty good place to put it.
Lipod with that white herb unburden. No, adrenaline orb unburden.
Hell yeah.
That's how you do it. Alright, so we're coming up on Samax. And gosh, I knew its team's name and then I forgot it. It was like the only team that I looked at the team and I'm like, oh, I know which player this is. I didn't have to check the doc. It's the New York Ninetales. Of course it is.
I definitely think Oranguru first pick intrigues me.
I think Oranguru's a great first pick. Oranguru's really good in this tier format.
Is it?
Yeah, it's broken. Instructor's insanely strong. Especially paired with Sylveon and with Marowak. It's really good. This team has a good fighting type as well. Oh my god.
This team definitely has a similar issue with I think the last team in terms of its Trick Room mode not being the strongest, but it definitely wants
the slowest, right?
The slowest, yeah, sorry.
The difference is that this team's Trick Room mode is just strong enough to justify getting away with it, whereas the other team's Trick Room mode is like Rhydon, Dragolgi, Trevenant. They're all middlingly powerful.
Yeah, but it's not like the fastest by any means. This will definitely be a Trick Room team that plays Trick Room against the more like tempo-based teams, but sort of plays like normal speed against other Trick Room teams.
Yeah, I mean, this team can play fast, this team can play slow, and like an alternative way to stop someone setting up Trick Room is just to kill both of their Pokemon, and it turns out Instruct Hyper Voice is okay at doing that. It turns out Instruct Beat Up is okay at doing that, you know? This team has two really decent Trick Room setters, though. And they do honestly good support mods. I think Rotom's honestly pretty interesting on this team. I think Passimian it's a phenomenal Pokemon. I think it is. I think it was like underpriced and it's really strong. It's like
Passimian is
9.
definitely not bad, yeah, because
Yeah,
it has like a fine speed tier to be able to do a
It's
lot
the
of
same
things,
price as
and then
Rotom.
it's also like good. Yeah.
Yeah, Passimian's like atrociously like strong. Is Corvisquire
Yeah.
like strong? No, it's got 67 attack. I'm gonna say that's not great.
No, yeah. Corvisquire is not really that good. I think the main thing with it is just being able to set Tailwind. I can't really think of anything else I would want to use it
doesn't even
for.
have mirror armor.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
it has
doesn't.
Unnerve, which can be useful on like specific situations. I mean,
Yeah.
look, Druddigon I think is pretty good. The like Life Orb Sheer Force sets are shockingly strong, even with its low special attack. Because even with that 60 special attack, a lot of like 4x weaknesses do actually wind up dropping.
And the other thing with Druddigon is it also has access to all like the elemental punches, so that's still
Yeah.
sheer force boosted.
Yeah. Weavile's good. Weavile's the fastest fake out mon. It's pretty strong. Can't believe it went
Yeah.
round 4. Hate
Yeah,
baby
that's-
draft. All of the Pokemon I got sniped on went way late.
Different priorities.
Pain. I like Kabutops. You can rain dance with Weavile.
Yeah.
I don't
that
know why you
can.
wouldn't. You can just fake out with Weavile and rain dance with the Kabutops, but you can. You can do it. Trust me. I believe in you. You should
You want
do
to
it.
Kabutops too? Rock slide off rip.
Kabutops is also just strong. It's really strong.
Yeah, Kabutops is definitely not bad.
It's immune to crits, which is good.
Yeah.
You can also weaken
Well-
them. So you could like brutal swing with Weavile.
True.
Break a sash and then KO them on with Kabutops. But rocks are really strong in this format. That's mostly what I was trying to say before I was memeing. Fairy resist. This fairy resist is pretty proficient at killing fairies. No fire is awkward.
Yeah. I think we'll have to see exactly what it ends up doing. I think that Clang is something that will end up dying quicker than you expect it to, based on those stats.
Clang is okay. It's aggressively okay as a mon.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much how I feel about it.
I see. I think this team's got really good value for money. Okay, so like Marill and Corvisquire. Like this team doesn't have Marill Regis, so Marill doesn't seem like it's got like the main reason that I draft Marill, which is to do that.
Exactly.
And then Corvisquire was 55 base speed, was it? No, 77.
Yeah.
I guess you can Tailwind with it decently. Okay.
77.
Easier if you slap a scarf on it, but you can still definitely do it.
Yeah,
This team does
you could also
appreciate
just run an
Tailwind.
extra, like,
That's
a
just got
Weavile
fast
or
icy
something.
from Weavile.
Yeah, definitely like the positive speed control options from this team would be very nice.
I'd say this
to
team is
be
not
able
that
to
top
highlight.
heavy as much as like it's like a mid.
Yeah, it has a lot of
Because these
things
two mons
in, like,
aren't
the
real,
middle
but
range.
these 9 are.
Yeah, I would agree.
I don't think any of the mons are mandatory, except maybe Weavile. I think without Weavile, you kind of concede to faster teams, but like
Yeah,
any of these 9, and theoretically Corvisquire can come to most games.
also true.
And
Yeah, I
then
think definitely middle of
tempo-wise,
the road in terms of
I would
wide
say
and top
this
heavy.
is a hyper tempo mon. This 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 is a hyper.
Yeah, not
this is
much on this
hyper-tempo,
team
this
is
hyper
really
tempo.
caring about setting up or like taking the time for
Even
things.
if you do set up, you're just then killing stuff immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I think aside from setting Trick Room, this team is mostly just going to be pressing attacks.
Alright, that's not the team I was trying to move.
Wrong one, yeah.
We're right
Up
next
towards-
to each other. I think
yeah.
this team is mostly like it's quite a strong
Yeah,
team.
I think just about there is where I'd put it.
Alright, and now we have the New York City Nido Kings, as opposed to like we don't know if Samus's Ninetales, like it could be from Utica, it could be from like Syracuse, it's from upstate. We don't really know what's happening.
Just from
there.
it's just from a place in New York.
Like, look, yourself. You're a New Englander yourself. You understand that there's a lot around upper New York, and I've been to
there's-
Buffalo myself.
Yeah, Albany, a bit of Syracuse, a bit of all
I
around.
keep forgetting Golbat was 1 point broken. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, Golbat for one is quite nice.
Like I get that doesn't get Tailwind.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
I don't think it does, but it's still broken. It's really good. The bag. Yeah, so this is Dustin's team. It had a Naganadal before it picked up Kingdra. I don't know why.
He swapped it.
I
Like,
understand
he
that they
didn't
have a
need it.
rain
He had
team, but
he
they
had
don't have a rain
Ludicolo on a
dancer.
team without Rain.
I think that was after they'd made the trade.
Gotcha.
Like they made the deal. But like I don't know why they don't have like a prankster rain setup. I don't know
Yeah,
what
it
this team
definitely.
is. It's got a lot of good mons. Dewblade's really good. Red Bombi is obscenely broken. It's disgusting. I have it myself, and it's just it's the best Pokemon on my team. I don't know how they got it round 5. I hate this draft. Him on top, really good. Zoroark, round 2 is weird. I don't think Zoroark's very good, but it can annoy people, I guess. King's
Yeah,
is
I'm
funny.
definitely not a Zoroark fan, but it's also really the
Is
main
Zoroark the rain
special
setup?
breaker on the team.
Wait, they have like 5. Alright.
They have a lot of
Zoroark,
they have
I
a
think,
lot
is
of
the
rain
rain
dance setters.
No, they have like 5 fake out ones.
This is also true.
Hitmontop is one of the best fake out mons. Ludicolo is one of the best like counterplay fake out mons.
Yeah.
And then like Delibird exists.
Yeah, Delibird is not gonna do much.
Wait, I thought someone dropped Delibird. Was it another team and then this team picked it up? 'Cause I
Maybe.
would believe it. My brain is dying. What was I trying to do? I was trying to look in the transactions chat. Oh. Someone just made a transaction before week 1, because like the week 1's on Monday.
Oh, gotcha.
That for one of the teams who went over, and obviously it's going to radically change.
How we tier things.
Yep. 2 seconds. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where. Okay, yeah. So Zero dropped Delibird for Erda. So how did they also get Delibird? No, I think that they both had dropped a Delibird and we hadn't realized until after the dropped. I think that was what happened.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that'll happen sometimes.
All right. Look, it happens occasionally. So this is the New York Nido Kings, New York City Nido Kings. Very important. It's the Big Apple. No Nido King. 1 electric resist, but it is a really, really, really good one. That said, Mold Breaker Electric I don't think exists in this format, so it's not something to worry about.
Yeah, it's definitely between the electric, rock, flying, and ghost weaknesses. There's a good few things.
They
that
have 2
are
really
pretty
good
threatening
rock
to
resists, to be fair.
it.
They just have a lot of weaknesses.
They have, yeah, they have 2 pretty good rock resists.
Dewblade is very good. I did it in one of the practice drafts. Actually, I think I drafted in all of them, but I'm gonna pretend I didn't. It was really good. It was quite solid. It like won one of my games just by itself because its defensive profile is good. So this team, I think, is pretty wide. I think that this entire section, except Zoroark,
I think really I can see everything except like Delibird coming to like a given week. Like it
Delibird's
definitely
fake out.
each thing will have its niche. Yeah, but
Delibird's
Delibird's
probably
bad.
more
so-
breakable than Ludicolo some games.
Really?
That's really sad, but I think it's true. Ice is just a good type, you know?
But yeah, this team definitely lacks breaking capability is another thing.
Well,
that I
no,
did
it's
notice
got like a
about it.
really good breaker in him on top, and then a Alolan Marowak, and then if they set Rain up, their Rain mons are good. And Rabombi's a really good breaker, and Rabombi can also speed swap Dewblade and make it a good breaker. Rabombi can also speed swap.
Have you looked at any of these attack stats? Each of the ones you mentioned are good breakers are below 100.
Dewblade's 110, and then
Well, aside from
is good
Dewblade.
because of Technician, and
Yeah,
Ludicolo and Kingdra are good because their stats are 1.5x by Rain.
Yeah, but there's no.
Oh, and
Prankster
Rabombi
Rain.
is 95 attack. Yep, but they have just fast mon rain setup. Like, practically speaking, what's the difference between Rabombi and like a Prankster mon? Most games, the other Prankster mon could get faked out. Rabombi can't.
Prankster. I mean, yeah, Rabombi can't get faked out, but it can get taunted by the Prankster Mon. They can
Just run mental.
Thunder Wave or Scary Face the Rabombi.
Just run mental herb. Just
True.
fake out the rain abuser.
Or just kill Rabombi.
I mean, mostly I'm saying that Rabombi is very fast, so it's less of an issue.
yeah. This is fair.
I don't know if Zatu is actually good, but I'm just gonna quote that it is.
I don't think Zatu is like incredible.
It's that trick
I
room
think
setup,
in a
and they have a lot of trick room uses.
yes, this is true.
Well, they have two really good ones. I forgot that Zatu was one of their fastest mons.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is their third fastest.
I'm gonna say second fastest because I'm not counting Zoroark. I don't know. Hopefully Zoroark proves me wrong. I think that this team is okay. This team is got some tempo, but its tempo is pretty reliant on it. Its best tempo is getting Rain or Trick Room up, which is not the most tempo. And then I'd say this team is relatively wide. But
Yeah,
that's
I
also
think
just a
fair.
code word for most of its Pokemon are not amazing. Alright. I am going to call it here for this inaugural episode of the... well, it's not inaugural, it's the second one, but the first Season 7 episode of the draft review. This was our perspectives on the baby drafts. And come back next time for when we do the daddy drafts. And thank you a lot to my wonderful, amazing, incredibly attractive co-host, Mogo.
Thanks for having me.
Now, comment down below which any suggestions that anyone might have in regards to what they think the axes can be, because I like these axes, but I don't know if there are better ways to convey them. Long game, I think, is maybe the most awkward feeling one. And then if there's anything else, why does no one have a wide long game team? I mean, they all have like kind of, but yeah. Why? Sorry, yeah. Comment down below any of these mons that you think that we underappreciate or underrated. I'd love to have more people's perspectives, unless it's like Crocodile. In that case, just like, I don't know, call me gay or something. It's not untrue. It's like, what do you tell people to do? Mold, cope, seethe, but
Yeah,
actually
pretty
write
much.
a comment. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. We will see you at some point soon for the other one.